not just a case. You're not just a client. You're a person, and you deserve support. You deserve simplicity. You deserve communication. When you hire an attorney, you deserve clear, risk-free advice that guides you to the best possible outcome in your injury case. And that's exactly what the advocates have been providing for over 30 years. After your accident, you deserve closure. You deserve compassion. You deserve peace of mind. You deserve an advocate.
This is The Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find The Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, The Monty Show live on Monday, May 18th, 2026. Welcome back to The Monty Show, presented by The Advocates at theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business, 24/7, 365, always at theadvocates.com, where you get clear, risk-free advice. No matter your situation, if you've been hurt in an injury accident, a car accident, a bike accident, again, you guys, those bird scooters, I'm telling you, if you're in a lift, you get in one of those ride shares, you never know who the driver is. Dude, get to the advocates and call the advocates first. Your insurance company is not going to help you. I am telling you now, I think insurance is one of the biggest scams. You pay all those premiums. You need them one time, and are they there for you? No, of course not. That's why you go to the advocates, where you never reach into your pocket to pay the advocates. In fact, you don't pay unless and until the advocates win your case. 24/7, 365 at theadvocates.com. Let's get right to work because we have a lot to catch up on the show today. Of course, I think the biggest story in college sports right now is this situation with the Pac-12. And I know that Pac-12 fans don't want to hear the truth about anything. Everything's great. Gas is cheap. Food is cheap. Everybody can afford everything except poaching fees and exit fees. So everything is great. There's nothing to see here. You just go to Costco and get your gas, which is not exactly what life in the Pac-12 is like. And as the financials came out and we start reading through where the Pac-12 sits, I think the scariest piece of information, and it was echoed pretty much through all of the contacts that I've reached out to in the last few days getting ready to talk about this today, but this idea that the Pac-12 has $23 million in cash. That's it. They have in their bank account, they allegedly have $23 million in cash. And that is a shockingly low number. A shockingly low number when you begin to understand that if they lose the poaching lawsuit, which at this point financially, I think it was again pointed out to me by multiple people close to that situation, there is no winning the poaching lawsuit at this point for the Pac-12. Knowing how little cash reserves the Pac-12 has on hand, it almost doesn't matter what happens in that case with the legal fees and the absolute brain suck that is going on with this lawsuit. It is imperative that the Pac-12 win that lawsuit, mainly because they will owe more than $50 million. If they lose every angle of that lawsuit, they owe essentially $55 million in poaching fees to the Pac-12 would owe to the Mountain West. They're broke. They are broke, period. And then if you have the exiting members of the Mountain West having to pay fees on top of that, I mean, it's an enormous amount of money when you are not able to make that. You're not able to pay half of that. Let's say you lose $50 million. You don't have the cash on hand to pay half of that money. You are essentially at this moment would be insolvent if that ruling came down today. That's how broke the Pac-12 is. And more fascinating than that, it completely explains the theory and the way that we've seen the Pac-12 continue to just delay and elongate this litigation process. My opinion, based on the numbers that I've seen, they never had any inclination to settle this case because they couldn't afford it. The Pac-12 literally could not afford to pay a penny out of pocket in poaching fees or any monies of any kind to the Mountain West. Can you imagine if you're the Pac-12, you've got $23 million on hand? And that is to operate, that is to pay your leases, that is to pay your people, that is to produce your games. Because remember, they don't have some huge TV contract where all of their production fees are taken care of. Like, it is a shocking indication of how much the Pac-12 has vying on these lawsuits. And if you listen to Pac-12 Commissioner Teresa Gould talk about, being for profit, it is listen to her speak. And then while you're listening, consider they've got $23 million in the bank.
There's no other conference in the country that owns and operates a for-profit entity like Pac-12 Enterprises. Mike is probably familiar with it given our Playfly relationship, but we essentially took Pac-12 networks and the infrastructure and the technology that existed and transitioned it to Pac-12 Enterprises, which now is a content creation machine, a technology hub, a production facility that has the ability to generate resources, not only with our media rights partners, but with outside clients. So it was tremendous leadership on the part of Oregon State and Washington State to decide to keep that asset. 2 years ago, when they said, we are not selling it, we're keeping it, we're going to repurpose it, we think there's a lot of value in it, that was really wise, because we have something that's different than any other conference has. And I believe in this time period where content is everything, where storytelling is everything, having a production facility with that kind of capacity and that kind of technology will benefit us, not just from a storytelling perspective, but from a revenue generation perspective, because we can sell services to outside clients, and we are selling services to outside clients and creating a revenue stream that no other conference has.
Well, you have no choice but to sell services to outside clients, number one. Number two, you would not have gotten a TV deal without it. You would not have distribution, because if you don't have the ability to save a TV partner production cost, if you don't have the ability to save a Fox Sports, any of their TV partners, if you don't have the ability to save their manpower on a halftime highlight package, on a feature package during the week, hey, here's a feature on Jimmy the quarterback and his family story, you're of no value to that TV network. And when we look at what the Pac-12 network actually, and the equipment and the infrastructure, as she put it, infrastructure maybe, what do I know? But when you look at what the value of that is, the value is they're producing their own games. That's the value of it. That's their only value to a conference partner, because they have very few partners that reach. They have very few members of the Pac-12 that actually reach TV audiences, that bring value to a TV network. I don't think it's a question of, hey, what is it that the Pac-12 network and its facilities do? It's what would happen if you didn't have that arm. If you didn't have a production arm, if you weren't able to go out and market to Jimmy's Taco Shop, we'll make you some commercials over here. Because that's basically what you're doing, isn't it? You're basically saying, hey, advertise on the Pac-12 network and we'll create a marketing package for you. We'll create all those TV commercials. You don't have to do that. You don't have to pay an outside marketing firm. We'll do all that for you.
It's client services, not advertising.
It's part of our ecosystem. We can create you're a Subway franchise. Hey, look, you're broke because nobody eats Subway sandwiches anymore, but advertise with us. Nobody will see it, but we'll tell them how great your Subway sandwiches are because we're going to make commercials for you. That's basically the conversation. You can take the red ass part because some people will watch.
Ball didn't go in the hoop.
Yeah, there are parents and family members out there. But I'm telling you, the Pac-12 network that they are spinning as some kind of great, wow, this is incredible, is actually the only thing keeping them afloat, because if they didn't have it, I don't think they'd have a TV deal.
Yeah, and I just think the intent behind everything that they're doing is to kick the can down the road and just try to not pay up on their obligations. I mean that ultimately is the game you're playing here, right? And it's why you're getting a sales job out of your commissioner. It's why you're getting this push of the new logo and the that interview that she did, and like there's this big effort around, hey, like everything's in a great spot, but the reality is you can't run from financial documents, man. You can't run from, hey, like you've only got $23 million in your account, and that's not like nearly enough. And the idea that Pac-12 homer and Pac-12 defender is like, oh, well, Boise State and Gonzaga, don't call me Gonzaga, got $13 million. What an upgrade, in conference distribution or whatever. You look at the whole picture and you're like, yeah, that might be true, but what about everybody else? What about the overall health of the conference? What about like where the conference is allegedly going? Because I couldn't agree more. If you don't have the money to fight, you're never going anywhere in court. Like that's just a prerequisite of doing anything in court. Like, again, billable hours are undefeated. So I don't know that's why I've been saying, like, I don't know what's the play here. What's the end game? Like, are you sitting here seriously saying that you're going to overcome this by getting ad partners into your media department? I mean, come on, dude. Like, there's got to be there. I mean, you better find some boosters. You better get like a line of credit or something. Like, there better be some kind of plan to get you out of this situation.
Yeah, I think it is a very, very difficult existence for the Pac-12. I do. And I understand that Pac-12 fan is telling you that, each of our schools is going to make more than the Mountain West. They might. But this idea that you're getting $13 million per school per year, that's never happening. And when you look at the likely scenario, my guess is you land between $7 and $8 million per school. And is that more than the Mountain West? Probably. Are you financially better off in the Pac-12 than you are in the Mountain West? There's not a chance that's accurate. Sorry, dude. Like, we can sit here and we can spin, and I understand this is a brand new entity and this is something nobody's ever done. And I understand that you're going to have early struggles financially. Things are going to be tight. I get that. This isn't being financially tight early in your life. This is more legitimate, stupid decision-making that has put the Pac-12 in this spot. This bill of goods that was sold to these exiting members of the Mountain West there should be movies written about this, because I will watch with piqued interest when the stories come out about what the Pac-12 promised these exiting members. And I don't know what it will take to reveal that. I don't know how and when, but it's coming out. Because if this conference cannot thrive, and right now, I don't care if you are the most passionate, ardent supporter of the Pac-12, you look at the money that Larry Scott and George Kliavkoff took out of this conference, and that's just in their own compensation and their complete incompetence, and you retain Teresa Gould, who is from the Larry Scott School of Business, and you thought it would be different. That's shocking in and of itself. The very fact, however, that you believed that you could just sue your way out of these poaching fees, and now my belief is, based on people I've spoken to and the evidence that I've seen, my belief is you're only suing so you don't have to pay these penalties now. And at some point, I still maintain you're going to settle this. If that's because you get on better footing, you make better deals, you somehow, some way, because Teresa Gould also in this interview she did, I talked about their, I guess, what do you call commercial strategy? If you somehow wind up ending fiscal 27 or 28 with the money needed to settle these, I think you would do it.
The state of the industry right now, in order to be successful, you have to have resources. That's just the reality. So the economics of it and the strength and the power of the brand the assets that the league currently has, particularly with Pac-12 enterprises, but also with this blank slate opportunity that we have, like the economics and the strategy behind the economics and the commercial enterprise. I think we have a real competitive advantage because with everything around us changing, we're really the only league that has an opportunity, the first league really in 25 years, to completely reimagine ourselves in a way that is equipped to compete in this environment. Our ability to establish a new and different commercial strategy was certainly a big part of the decision that those 7 institutions made.
And if that is indeed the case, I don't believe that it is. But if you're telling us that you sold these exiting members who left the Mountain West to join whatever this is in the Pac-12. You sold them on the fact that you have your own TV network and that's going to make you a windfall of money. That's essentially what she's saying there, is our entire revenue generating philosophy is based around the fact that we have this Pac-12 network that nobody watches. We have this Pac-12 network where we can go out and market it to businesses to make money. Because that's what I'm hearing her say. And I'm assuming that if this is what you use to get these members to leave the Mountain West to join the Pac-12, that you have a vision that you're somehow going to make it had better be hundreds of millions of dollars. Because why else would you leave the Mountain West to join the Pac-12?
Yeah, seriously.
Why else would you wouldn't leave for $10 million, would you? Would you go and take what now we know is an incredible risk? It is incredible, the risk that these exiting members of the Mountain West risk. Like, think about the business decision you made. You told yourself, we're going to leave what is, sure, a financially less than advantageous situation. We're going to leave that situation and we're going to jump headfirst into a pool, and we have no idea if there's water or how deep that water is.
Even though we were told that the water is allegedly super deep, but we have no idea.
You have no proven revenue generating operation at the Pac-12. And again, be the most passionate defender of the Pac-12, and I hope you are. What proven revenue generating model do you have at the Pac-12? You've never been able to get an advantageous leveraged TV deal where TV networks are paying you hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Hundreds of millions of dollars a year. You were never able to land that. You were never getting $50 million per school per year. You're not getting $10 million per school per year. So your idea of making that up is to go and sell commercial production services to somebody. And I am shocked that that San Diego State, I guess I'm not, because you're some of the stupidest business decision-making people I've ever seen.
Facts.
Frankly. But the fact that a Boise State would leave the Mountain West, and what we always hear is, oh, the Mountain West doesn't make any money. You have the same TV deal they have. You left the Mountain West to go to the Pac-12 for the exact same TV deal that the Mountain West has. And for what? Because you can't tell me that you somehow believe you're going to make $1 million. Is it $5 million more a year in the Pac-12 than you would have made in the Mountain West?
Well, I mean, I think that the obvious angle, too, of the money-making side of it is like, hey, we're the power status situation that they've been pushing, I think, is a huge piece of the what did they sell these schools, right? The imaginative path back to having an auto bid into the CFP and regaining, power conference status or whatever. I think is something that they clearly sold hard. I mean, you wouldn't have. There's no way Boise State or any of these other schools were like, yeah, we're going to leave our current situation, which maybe doesn't pay us as much as we want to, but definitely pays us and is reliable and has been reliable and is going to be reliable, to go to a situation that, yes, is being, again, reimagined and reborn and redefined and all of this, rebirthing material we're hearing about. And there's no way you would have done that unless the vision was like, hey, we're going to get back to where we were. It might just take a few years. It might take a couple of fiscal calendar years to get back to that point. And I really do think that's in combination with what you've been talking about this morning with this Pac-12 networks thing and like, hey, we're going to sell ad partners and all that. Those two things together, to me, are what you sold these schools, because we know that like, think about Boise State. Just as a really good example, like, who is Boise State in the landscape of college athletics? Well, we know that Boise State is an elite, group of 5/group of 6 school. We know that they consistently are at the top. They obviously were just in the CFP. Like they have been pushing the envelope. They have had success. They've been doing things. But so if you're Boise State, we know that they're always looking to improve their situation. They're always looking for more access, more money. How can we get to the next level? We're dominating where we are, but how can we take that step up? And I feel like the Pac-12 saw that and said, you know what? We have this scheduling alliance. We need to find a way to get schools back in the fold here. Let's go out and let's leverage that desire by some of these schools and sell off of that. And the problem is, to your point, like, now it's coming out, well, hey, the struggle is actually worse than I think any of us, even myself. I frankly, I saw this and I was like, dude, this is way worse than what I thought it would have been. I mean, I at least thought you would have had, money just kind of sitting in an account, right? Like at least like like a lot of money.
That's all we heard about was war chest and all the money that the exiting members of the Pac-12, they're paying us, and you've eaten through all that.
Yeah.
That money's gone. That money's gone. And you now are this commercial operating entity, and this new logo you made is such an incredible part of your product proving ground.
But doesn't this logo and we've had our fun with this, and I agree, this logo is ass. There's no way around it. We've covered it. But like, the logo might be the best like representation of what we're talking about this morning, right? You put this logo out, and this logo is a minimalist, super West Coast vibe type logo, right? Minimalist, hey, we're pointing up, and we're supposed to know all this stuff about your conference
Pac-12
just
network
by looking at this. And it's
look
like,
at
dude,
this. Wow.
Wow, like, man, we're just blown away. And it's like, no, actually, you know what this logo really says to me? It's a black and white logo that you've recopied and re-edited like 400 times to colorize with the rest of the schools. But at the conference level, think about what this looks like. Black and white logo, no life to it, super minimalist. That's what this conference is. You don't have a lot of life in the conference. You don't have a lot of heritage in the conference. You're nothing like you were before. And I'm really tired of hearing people make that comparison of, and I understand why Teresa does it. Like, what else is she going to say? But like, casuals and people just observing this situation, this conference is nothing like the old conference. This, what's funny about the TV deal thing and all this money situation? You had the opportunity to be with ESPN before this conference melted down. Like, we're all on the same page with that, right? Like, you had a deal for, I believe it was like 35 a year, 38 a year, right in line with what the Big 12 got. And you turned that down because you wanted 50 a year per school. And that's that. So, like, if you've been following this, you can't forget that those conversations and those mistakes are why you're in this position. And the very same people making those decisions then are basically the same people making them now. So what's really going to change? That's why I just don't have any faith. in their future forward or the court thing or like it's like, dude, it's all a sales pitch, man. It's all a sales pitch.
Yeah, and it again, I just go back to the spin that has come out of guys like John Canzano, who is one of the biggest frauds in all of media. It is shocking. It is shocking that people pay for this guy's bullshit. When you look at the back of the envelope calculations and the Canzano-Wilner podcast, where all they've done for years and years is sell you as a Pac-12 fan on how great everything is. Oh, man, it's amazing. Oh, wow.
Back to the envelope calculations.
Listen, we've got an exclusive with George Kliavkoff, the mastermind behind the resurgence of the Pac-12. And he's going to come on and trash UCLA and tell us all this great stuff, which turned out not to be accurate or true. And you guys, Canzano and Wilner, who are journalists, and you put out all this misinformation. At the end of the day, you put out a bunch of stuff that turned out not to be accurate. And you allowed George Kliavkoff and everybody else from the Pac-12 to come on your podcast and not fact check them, not ask follow-up questions, do, in my opinion, horrendous interviews with them that amount to nothing more, again, in my opinion, than propaganda. And it's guys like John Canzano and it's guys like John Wilner that allowed the Pac-12 to thrive on incompetence, to feast on incompetence. And it's people like you that pay for their podcast and read their stuff, and you'll come in here and tell us, oh, you guys don't know what you're talking about. You just hate the Pac-12. No, we actually do know what we're talking about. We're not propaganda machines. And everything that we've talked about the Pac-12 since the day it melted down has been true and accurate. And this is no different. They're broke. They can't afford to lose this poaching lawsuit. It's as simple as that. You can't afford to lose it. You could, if you lose the poaching lawsuit and you owe the $55 million, can you pay that judgment? No, you can't. Can your exiting members pay their exit fees? Are they liquid to the point where they can afford to pay a lump sum exit fee? They can't. And why is that? Because they bought a bill of goods that Teresa Gould and others were selling. Hey, we have a war chest. We're going to be fine. Turned out not to be true. Hey, listen to all of the Pac-12 mouthpieces. Oh, well, they're going to get $600 million. Never happened. All the idiots that were out there telling you, oh, this conference, Sergeant Schultz in Washington State, we're getting $600 million. We're going to stand in the way. We are standing in the way.
We're standing firm, Monty.
We're going to stand in the way of the college football playoff moving forward. How did that work out? Did the Pac-12, Washington State, did they stand in the way? No. No, they did not. Did they get $600 million? No, they did not. Do they have a war chest? They do not. Are they broke? Yes, they are. Do they have a transformational partnership in TV? They don't. Because you don't have value. And at the end of the day, when you're out selling, if you don't have value, you don't have leverage. Because you don't have TV audiences. You don't have the Conference of Champions. Why do you think USC and UCLA did what they did? Why'd they burn that thing to the ground? Because they saw what we've been talking about for a decade. The minute that the Pac-12, the original Pac-12, decided not to do a deal with Google, decided not to add a university like BYU, the fate was written. It was over. That's where this all began. And the people making those decisions are still the ones in power of the Pac-12. Teresa Gould is from that school of management. And we expect this to be different. Do we know? We expect this to be different. So you live in your fantasy world, Pac-12 fan, that you've got all this money in a war chest and you live in that world. But tell me how you can factually back up the belief that you're going to get. Like I had a Pac-12 fan on Twitter the other day telling me they're getting $15 million a year. How do you believe that each one of your universities is getting $15 million a year? You have no way to back that up. You have no way to back that up.
Nope.
All right. Let's get your comments in. Welcome back to the comments section. Tread lightly. Welcome to the nightmare. Says, welcome back, Monty and Shaky Two Shakes. Appreciate it. Morning. Jay McClanahan says, morning, guys. No, morning to you, sir. Morning to you. Big Daddy Dallas, welcome back. I missed you guys. No, we missed you.
So much.
Not at all. Morning. I'm still sick. What do you mean you're still sick? What happened? Were you sick before we went on vacation? What happened?
The coronavirus.
Matt Ritson, hello. Matt Muldoon, but that, I thought the new logo had an arrow pointing up.
Yeah, man. Just,
Is that-
up and up and up.
Is that what this is supposed to be? Is this supposed to be
the
an arrow
A.
pointing up?
Yeah, the A in the middle there is supposed to represent an arrow pointing up.
Okay. Hey, man. That's cool.
And remember,
you
no
do
border
you.
around the outside because this is a borderless conference. The growth is endless.
You do you. The Pac always puffing the Magic Dragon, thinking they're better than anyone else. Well, there you go. There you go. Look at that. The King of Thailand is here this morning. How's the young hot girlfriend? King of Thailand. I think he's, what is she, 23, King? Dude. Get young, my guy. Hey, boys, pretty sure the Pac-12 is a bigger joke today than at any point in its illustrious history. And that's saying something. Oh, look, Stadium Guy James is in this morning. I imagine a tombstone with the Pac-12 on it. Well, that seems a little harsh. I don't know that I'd be wishing death on anybody, but matchup throwdown, type she.
Okay.
Okay. Ken Maynard, good morning to you. Oregon State and Washington State could have just joined the American football only. They could have. No question about it. Cryptic Warden, how are they supposed to operate? How do you operate on $23 million in cash? Is this not Arizona during the pandemic?
Mm-hmm.
You guys remember that they were writing checks to pay for sports out of their daily operating money, and then figured out they had made an accounting error and they almost went broke. Like they made a $240 million mistake.
Small little mistake.
Let that sink in. One university made a $240 million mistake and barely survived. You have $23 million in the bank, allegedly.
Cashless.
What if you make an accounting mistake? What if the abacus falls off the table and you're putting it back together and you make a little mistake? That's where you're at, because your bills are not small at a level like the Pac-12 is trying to operate at.
That's what I'm saying. They're gonna need like, it's the infamous, behind the scenes booster coming in to save them, or like you're gonna need some type of windfall.
Yeah. They have started operating this conference like a business. They're gonna start taking loans to try and procure funds. That's gonna end up causing them problems down the road. Is this where you take a line of credit? Who are you, the Big 12? Right? Is this where, I don't know how you survive. I really do not. I have no idea. Worst conference commissioner in FBS. Boy, that's tough to say. The problem with Teresa Gould, and I'm not trying to be redundant, but we can sit here and we can keep going round and round on this. She's part of the machine that made all the bad decisions. She's been there for a very long time. She is a Larry Scott person. She is a George Kliavkoff person. And now somehow you elevate her. She's the conference commissioner, and we expect a different modus operandi. Now, is she solely in charge? No, of course not. She has conference presidents and ADs she answers to, and totally understand that. There's infrastructure staff, totally understand that. But she's the commissioner. She's the one guiding the ship. She's the one out doing the deals. And I also go back to, how they had, and I don't want to keep piling on people, but, they had the media company that was marketing them as a TV,
Yeah, you guys remember that bite we played from Buddy in his little office in downtown San Francisco? And I can't remember his name. It was like a very obscure guy, but this guy was basically, pitched or like shown to the world as like, hey, this is our rep of the Pac-12, and he's selling all these analytics, and like he was like the savant of the conference. And I remember it vividly. He had on like a collared shirt, but the sweater vest that he had on was incredible. Like it was like a gray sweater vest, and it was the ultimate, hey, I'm like a super like nerd analytics guy in the Pac-12, and they're pushing me forward as like the reason you should spend all this money. And it's like, yeah, unfortunately, that's not really how the world works, man.
No, it's not. Ken Maynor says Clownzano is a Pac-12 shill. What the best part is, I'm 7-8 people sent me the tweet he put out about how he was ripping Larry Scott and George Kliavkoff. Do you understand that you're the reason that they existed? You are the exact kind of person who allowed them to spout their nonsense. And you did nothing to hold them accountable. Nothing to hold them accountable. You routinely put, like, you put George Kliavkoff on your Wilner Canzano show and did not check him or ask follow-up questions on essentially anything. Nothing. And now you want to write some hit piece about how they're reaping from... Get out of here.
Yeah, we didn't forget, dude. We didn't forget, bro.
You're all of a sudden now saying that Larry Scott and Kliavkoff were incompetent? Is that what the messaging? Because I'm not going to pay you, and I'm certainly not going to read your stuff. But you're now... Do you guys understand the irony of Buddy John Canzano saying life is good for Pac-12 boondoggling executives Larry Scott and George Kliavkoff? That's what his tweet said. And we're supposed to believe they're the ones at fault? You gave them a free pass. And we're supposed to believe you're just, I just report the news.
And that was, again, let's not forget, you marketed that as like an exclusive in-depth interview, dude. Like, we're getting into it. Like, we're having a real honest sit down. And it just wasn't. And I think that, again, it's just all the same out of this conference. Like, I can't escape the consistency with what we get with the Pac-12, which is they're going to say it's one thing and it's like 180 degrees another thing, right? Oh, man, for-profit entity, we're incredible. Look at the new logo, but we've got 23 mil in the bank, and that's not even close to enough to operate a conference. Like, I'm telling you, if tomorrow it comes out that they found a way to get a Silicon Valley booster to fund them for the next 2 years, that wouldn't be surprising at all to me. That if they went out into the market and, went and got into some agreement, it won't be a loan. I can guarantee you that. They won't take a loan, but they'll take some type of donation. They'll take some type of They're going to need it. Like, that's what I don't think people are really kind of putting together here. We're sitting here talking about how the judgment in court coming to you at some point is going to be twice what you actually have in the bank right now, dude. So I'm just trying to understand, okay, well, if it's twice what you have, how are you covering that gap? Because sure, you'll get some TV money here in this first season, but that TV money is already spoken for. That TV money is already pre-planned as to where it's going. So it's not like you're just going to get this pile of cash from TV networks and you'll be able to throw it at the fire known as billable hours and that judgment. That's not how it works.
No. You're wrong. This is Klyavkov's fault. I mean, they pillaged the Pac-12. I don't,
Venom and vitriol.
The idea that John Canzano is bitter at Larry Scott and George Klyavkov is hysterical.
Yeah, I mean, are you upset with them for making you look like an idiot? Is that what it is?
I really hope that you guys see the irony in that. I am amazed by that.
Yeah, you know what the real shame too is that it didn't need to be, because once again, I'm always committed to saying it didn't need to get here. That's the thing. That's the reason that I like talking about this so much, because it is truly a story in sports where it's like it never needed to be here, and yet here we are. And it's not the first time, and it won't be the last time in life where like there's a situation that plays out, sports or otherwise, to where a promise was made and a promise wasn't kept, and then people are having to figure out how to get back. I mean, again, the parallels between Golfer Bro, who left the tour and went to live, and these schools going to the Pac-12 only to inevitably have to find their way back to a actual reliable conference at some point. When that day comes forth, because I believe it will, that will be just an incredible story to talk about, honestly.
The American is running laps around the Pac-12. Well, to be true, the Pac-12 isn't operating yet, allegedly, with $23 million.
They are, but they aren't.
USC and UCLA left because Klyavkov was an idiot. Well, I don't know if he was an idiot. We don't know why he did the things he did. We don't know why he couldn't. The failure of George Klyavkov was he couldn't sell his vision to the presidents in the conference. And you were never getting these presidents to go all in on Apple TV, which was one of the things they allegedly pitched. Apple TV's been a complete disaster for most of the sports properties that it's working with. So maybe those presidents knew more than George Klyavkov. Maybe they didn't. But going to Apple TV, as I said a million times on this show, would have been a death note for this conference. They would have been dead. Nobody would have watched. Nobody would have watched. Because you look at MLS. MLS is invisible, dude. Nobody watches. Nobody watches. Like the Ted Lasso show is more successful than MLS.
Yeah.
Quite literally a show that's not real about a coach who's not real in soccer is more successful than actual soccer.
And remember the Apple TV deal, to your point, right? I just want to point this out just so you guys understand. That Apple TV deal is performance based. You don't get paid unless you have the viewership. So again, it's a deal where like it never would have made sense. And it's terrible because you had YouTube TV in the palm of your hands. You had everything you needed to continue to operate and move forward.
Allegedly. You could have allegedly had a deal with YouTube TV. And you could have had distribution through Google channels. And this goes back to Larry Scott not wanting to do a deal with DirecTV.
Yeah,
this goes all the way back to that. Larry Scott on this show, it's an interview you can still see on the channel, talking about how he was doing X, Y, and Z. And we asked him about, are you going to do a deal with, YouTube, Google? Like, it goes back to that. They have always overvalued themselves. And Apple, whether it's, I don't even know how many people realize, doesn't Apple TV have a game of the week in baseball? F1, which is completely invisible now. F1 is on there and MLS is on there. It's completely invisible. It is remarkable to me that we went from F1 being a predominantly European sport that exploded globally to being invisible in this country now.
Yeah, it was a Sunday ritual for 2 seasons. Honestly, it was, because what you would do is you would go F1, you would go football, and then NASCAR. Those 3 together had a beautiful little flow working. And the only reason NASCAR was in that picture is not because I'm some NASCAR nerd, but you get like this fix from watching motorsport racing in F1. And then you go from that style of racing to NASCAR and you're like, dude, this is amazing. And it's funny that since then, I haven't watched, like, NASCAR All-Star Weekend was this weekend. Didn't watch an even single second of it. Not even a single second of it. And I just think that the Apple TV thing has never gained traction. It's the one thing Apple's done that really is never panned. It's just never, and I know, like, Ted Lasso, okay, cool. But other than that, I couldn't tell you another thing to watch on Apple TV, like that's episodic or movies or whatever it might be, dude. I have no idea.
No, yeah, is what it is, right? Ryan Duffy says, Monty, thanks for all the golf videos. I saw white shorts, but never white pants. Disappointing. Dude, it's 100 degrees.
Bro, the white shorts was a great outfit, dude. I'll give you credit. You pulled it off. No question about it.
I'm not putting on white long pants in Hawaii. No, bro. It was beautiful. It was warm, and it's not long pant weather. Now, the middle 50s here in Seattle, that's long pant weather. You know, is James catching more strays? James, stop the TCU logo. You are now forever an Oak State fan. James, you, sir, can never be a TCU fan. Always catching strays for that. Right. Daniel Dixon says, good luck, Pac, paying for NIL. It is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, see, this is my point. Like, again, NIL is a great example. Where are you getting the money if you're a school in the Pac-12 to really go out and get after it in NIL? Like, I understand it's the G6 and you're not having to pay $5 million for your quarterback, but even, let's just say even $700,000, $500,000. Like, you understand when you're at that level, like hundreds of thousands of dollars has the same impact for the G6 that $5 million does for the Power 4. It's all profit percentage. Like, that's the thing I saw over the weekend that I was just shocked by. Like, people look at the numbers and are like, oh, well, it's only $300,000. It's only $800,000. Like, what's the big deal? Well, what do you mean, what's the big deal? That's a big percentage of their money, man. Like that, like, it's not some it's not some insignificant amount.
No, not at all. The Chad Carter. Hello, Chad. Pac-12 is going to get a loan. Dude, I wouldn't loan him a screwdriver, let alone money. I don't disagree. Type she is just super West Coast drippy drip slang for I agree with you. Oh, okay.
Oh man, dude. I see again, maybe that's the Pac-12 lingo that I'm just not educated on, dude. I mean, my fault. Sorry, bro. My bad.
Here goes James again. RJC, I just attended my 3rd demon class. So you've gone to 3 classes and now we've just forgotten about Oak State. Stop, bro. Stop. It would be nice if the Pac-12 had some teams to go with their rhetoric. It would be. Right? It would be for certain. Congratulations, James. Yes, congratulations. Wait a second, Jerry. Who's Jerry? What is Monty being wrong about concerning the Pac-12?
Yeah. Boy, here we go. What do we got?
Everybody hit that like button. Yes, please. I'm terrible at that. Yes, please hit the like button. Please hit the like button. David Persons, a couple of hacks you know a whole lot more than you do, Jerry. Who's Jerry? What the fuck you know.
Who's this Jerry cat, dude? Like,
I may not agree with Monty all the time, but the dude does his research. Okay. I've researched the fact that you're not a TCU. Well, you are. Never mind. Never mind. Pac is a fail before it even relaunches. Well, I don't necessarily know. To wrap up this Pac conversation, what does the future hold for the Pac-12? I think it's going to be a very difficult 5-year stretch. And I think it's going to be very difficult. We're never going to know the media distribution that these universities get. I don't think we'll ever have the total picture. I think the whole point will be to muddy the water. And I think the whole point will be to never be fully transparent about how much money they make or don't make. Because you're always going to have, well, but we produce these games and these features, and then this money was put over here. And you're never going to have a clear picture of it, which is exactly, I think, probably how they want it.
mm-hmm.
And we can get financial disclosures, and we'll see how much Washington State and Oregon State and everybody else gets distributed to them. It's not enough. And I think this is part of the problem for Pac-12 fan. It's not enough that you make more money in the Pac-12 than you made in the Mountain West. Do you understand that? Because ultimately, if you don't have access to things like the college football playoff, if you don't have access to more brand deals, if you don't have access, if your media rights deal has an invisible cap on it, why did you make the move? If you are being forced, if part of your deal with the Pac-12 is that you have to invest in infrastructure and growth of the Pac-12 network, will you ever fully own it? Do you want to? My guess is you don't. My guess is you don't, because it's not worth anything. Ask yourself that question. What is the Pac-12, this beautiful broadcast facility in San Ramon? What is it really worth to Boise State? Nothing. It's worth nothing. It's not like Boise State is somehow now going to be like, oh, well, Albertsons needs a new TV spot. Let's send them to San Ramon. It doesn't work like that. Like, in all seriousness, like, what is it going to take? What's the measure of success? If you are one of these exiting members, if you're San Diego State, what does it look like to be successful? Well, you have to start winning college football games. You have to continue to go to the NCAA tournament in basketball. And you have to grow your women's sports. Does the Pac-12 help you do that? Not right now, with $23 million in cash on hand. That's going to be tough to measure that. It's going to be very tough. Yeah, but Ted Lasso was a very good show. Haven't seen 1 second of it. You know, I literally only have Apple TV because it's part of a package with deal with T-Mobile. Is it good? Is it good? Lopes Fan Gabe, hello. Like button. Yes, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. I appreciate everybody watching the show. Please give us a thumbs up. I would love to see how these new Pac-12 schools feel about this. You
can't tell me they're just over the moon about things, dude.
How could you be? How could you be? Seriously. American has what the Pac-12 doesn't: full ESPN coverage, an innovative commissioner, and an East Coast presence. Well, is an East Coast presence required? Again, we get into this East-West thing. The Pac-12 should have the advantage in the TV markets because they get the late window. Remember, we're supposed to be getting Pac-12 after dark again.
Mm-hmm.
The game has to matter for it to be like Pac-12 after dark.
Yeah, that's the thing, that you can't escape, lack of relevance. Like, I agree that there will be a couple times a season where Boise State will be playing a game of leverage, or like maybe if Washington State can figure it out again, and get back to being, just competitive, enough to where you would garner some interest from national football viewer who's, because again, think about it. Pac-12 after dark was, and again, just for the record, FTR, some of my favorite college football moments were Pac-12 After Dark, right?
Certainly.
Pac-12 After Dark was, hey, I've been watching college football all day, went about my day, but now it's dark out. It's the end of the day. It's me in the tube, and I've got my cold beer, got my food or whatever. Let's enjoy this for the next couple hours. That's what it was. That's why it was so good. And then in combination with that, obviously the football was pretty good. And so now it's like, all right, well, we're going to rebirth or relaunch or whatever Pac-12 After Dark. But the problem is, man, is that I'm not really here for San Diego State and also Rand. I'm not really here for Boise State and also Rand. I'll watch your conference champion. Man. Yeah, like I'll watch your championship game maybe if it's Boise State and somebody. But other than that, I'm probably not super into it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Oak State James for $5. Some knothead came on here and said you were two hacks. I think that's the first time we've heard that. You have been right about the Pac-12 for the last 3 years. Keep up the good work. Glad you're back. Thanks, James.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't. We need critics, right? Like, it's always amazing to me the people who are like, I'm certain at some point in the life of this episode, somebody will say, well, Gloria Navarez pays you guys. I'm certain that will happen. Like, we've been told we're an SEC show, we're a Pac-12 show, we're a Mountain West show, we're something to somebody show. We play the role that you need us to play. Right? All villains, never a hero. And I'm fine with that. Right? I'm fine with that. Which is great. You know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Hey, Bong, how much money was the Pac-12 saying it was going to get versus they actually got? Let me go see the unmember comments.
The unmember comments.
Do you mean this one? Bong misses? Bro, your name is Bong. How am I going to take you seriously? The Pac can add UConn in a New York second. Oh, yeah, right. So why haven't they?
Bro.
And what? Let me just ask you this. I'm being serious because, again, we're hacks and we don't get anything right ever. If they could add UConn in a New York second, why haven't they done that? The premier basketball franchise in the country, arguably, UConn. Both men's and women's. Why haven't they done that? So, by your argument, UConn wants to join the Pac-12 in a New York second, whatever the flip that means. Because it's New York minute. But you do you.
I didn't want to point that out, dude. Like, how do you mess that up?
Let's math this out. Because this is usually where guys like Bong Rip fall on your face. So, UConn wants to join the Pac-12. And the Pac-12 to this point has said, nah, we're not interested. Is that good? That's solid decision-making. Not adding UConn. Well, why would UConn want to travel that far for basketball? When they're already the dominant brand in college basketball, men's and women's, and arguably they've had the most success of men's and women's basketball in recent history. And we're supposed to believe that they're going to leave that behind for $7 to $8 million a year in the Pac-12. We're supposed to believe that. And I'm assuming you're going to start comparing this to like Gonzaga. And you'll be like, well, Gonzaga did it. Gonzaga's down the street. Connecticut might as well be Istanbul, bro. Do you know how far and just absolutely unable to afford that travel the Pac-12 is at this point?
Afghanistan.
It's stuff like this where I just want to ask you, what planet do you live on? And please, before you comment, put the bong down.
Iraq.
Because it is clearly impacting your decision making. Clearly impacting your decision making. Oh, look at that, Timothy O'Hara. Pac-12 would have been fine. These lawsuits are killing them. They're not easy. Bong misses again. Don't worry about the Pac is going to get you G5 also rans make me sick. You should probably double check your typing. This is why I don't get into the non-member comments.
The unmember comments.
Unmember.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Why is no one asking why James is being nice? What's he up to? Well, it is
a
concerning.
fair question, dude.
Bong, clearly you're hitting the bong this morning because that didn't make sense. No, it did not. No, it did not. You know, look at that, Brandon Butler. I thought this was an MLC show. Welcome back, boys. Last day in Mexico. Are you in Mexico?
Man, more power to you, brother. I'm not going to Mexico. Sorry, man.
I'm not sure I can go to Mexico. I hear so many people rave about their time in Mexico, and
yeah, are you at a resort or like what's your deal, Brandon? Like what's the setup?
I don't think I could do it.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it, honestly. Bong, did I send you to Word Timeout? You probably should have. You know, Matt Muldoon, NYC doesn't give two about UConn or Rutgers football. Exactly. The idea that the Pac-12 could add UConn in a New York second is incredible. That's delusional because they would have done it already if they could have. As desperate as this league is, you don't think they would have added UConn already? It makes no sense. Matchup throwdown. It's not a New York second because that is all the time the scaled down conference could afford. Okay.
Well,
you know, if you must know who asked, I am charting yesterday's chapel services. I am at work. It's like the old days. Okay. I don't know what charting means still to this day. You know, but
that's a great point. What does it mean to chart yesterday's chapel services?
You know, it is what it is. Rutgers gives the New York market. Thank you for your attention to this matter.
No, we're not doing it, dude. Nope.
I'm not.
Nope.
I am resorting for my sister's wedding. Resorts are worth the squeeze. Wouldn't be here if it wasn't. Well,
yeah, dude. Yeah, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't know either. Let's see. Timothy O'Hara, UConn going into the Pac-12. Next thing you'll say is that New Mexico is going to join the Big East for Olympic sports and independent for football. That's how asinine that is. I
agreed.
That's tough to track. I would agree with that. That's tough to track. Such as and like 16 versus 24. Now, listen, I know that we're whack as hell on this show and
never get anything right.
We don't know anything. And
yeah.
Now, I'll just recap what I've said about 16 versus 24 in the college football playoff. Because, you know, I just want to make sure that you guys know that I've said the SEC is never going to approve 24. There would have to be, right? Because there would have to be some major shift philosophically to how those 24 teams are selected. Mainly that strength of schedule, strength of opponent, record versus P4 would have to be the only three metrics that matter. And the Big Ten's never going to approve that. So you may or may not have heard this, that the Big Ten, the ACC and the Big 12 are all in favor of going to 24 teams. They're all in favor of it. The problem is the SEC is not. And essentially, the SEC is, and I know you're going to say, Monty, this is a Pac-12 show. Teresa Gould's in your pocket. The SEC is the only conference that simply can stand on business of their strength of schedule is elite. And I know the argument's going to be, well, Monty, we've got back-to-back national championships in the Big Ten. You do. Does that mean you're the best conference? It doesn't. And I am also going to say 24 teams, in my opinion, means that the regular season's irrelevant. It invalidates big matchups. It lessens the importance of rivalry games. And essentially what 24 teams does is means that everybody gets in. And I think it's a huge mistake. I'll continue to say it over and over and over again. And we can sit here and go round and round, but I'll go back to what Kevin Clark said the other day on the show when we played that bite. I'm telling you, 24 teams absolutely invalidates the regular season.
I think the college football should be run by people who like college football. And every decision, every idea I've seen, Paul, about playoff expansion seems like it's come from people who don't like college football, don't know why we like it, and it's really starting to tick me off. A 24-team playoff would be a disgrace. And I think that even now, frankly, I think 12 is too big. I thought 6 was the perfect playoff size if you wanted to stop there. But we know that they can't help themselves. I get that. So 12, and then if you have to, in a decade, go to 16. Fine. But the idea of 24, the idea I've seen floated of 32, I just think it's ludicrous. The number one thing is making sure that we don't lose sight of why people like college football. And we don't lose sight of the fact that October 15th and 22nd and 29th, those can be the best days on the sports calendar. It's not about the playoff. It will never be about the playoff. I don't think the playoff will ever be the focal point of the sport in the same way March Madness is. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
No, it will never happen. It will never happen. And if you add 24 teams, you're essentially saying the regular season isn't important. All that matters is don't lose 4 games, because if you only lose 3, you're getting into the college football playoff. Is that not the argument that 24 versus 16 makes?
Yeah, I mean, there's no question it is. I mean, it's the regular season being, basically made irrelevant is I just think terrible for the sport. I mean, obviously we're all here for big games, but what makes a big game? Well, what makes a big game is consequences of that game, right? What makes a big game is the the ability to say, hey, well, Texas and Ohio State are playing. Winner of this game obviously is in a great position with strength of schedule. Loser of the game potentially is in a really tough position, down the line, right? It's what makes Notre Dame's situation with Miami so interesting, the regular season. And I think that the regular season being irrelevant makes things like the AP or like the ranking shows pointless. Because even when we get to ranking season with ESPN and when they're doing the weekly show, why am I even going to watch that until there's like the final 2 weeks? Like what even is the point? Because 3 lost teams are getting in, and for sure that they're going to push from a media standpoint those couple of 4-loss bubble teams that are trying to get in. That's going to happen. So I just think it's not surprising, but the thing that I don't like is that it's turned into this, it's those 3 conferences versus the SEC and ESPN. That ESPN is somehow the sole driver of this situation. When in reality, yes, ESPN doesn't want it to go to 24. That's it's a lot of work. But Greg Sankey and the SEC don't want this thing to go to 24 because it's just a handout. And that goes against what football is by nature and what they've built in the SEC. And that I guess is the problem. Like, I'm not surprised. Of course the Big 12 and the ACC want 24 teams. Like, are you kidding? Like, if there were 24 teams, the Big 12 would get the most teams it's ever gotten into the CFP. Of course they want 24, bro. What did you expect Brett Yormark to say no? Like of course they're going to say yes.
Yeah, this is irrelevant. My opinion is that 16 is as big as you should ever go. And even that, I don't know why we're expanding now. What needs to be changed is the selection process. You don't need to add more teams. I don't understand. Why are we watering it down?
Because we don't want to play quality competition the entire year. That's why. Because we don't want to be accountable to we play a soft schedule. And the funny part about that is the soft schedule portion is for different reasons. So like in the Big 12, the soft schedule portion is born out of indifference of wanting to be good or not on the football field, right? Like we've talked all about how the Baylors of the world, whoever you want to point to, just aren't real invested in football right now. They have been in the past. They're not right now. So the Big 12 is struggling to get 2 teams into the CFP. But like in the Big 10 is operating at such a profit margin right now because they have, in my opinion, sort of an understanding in the conference, right? If you're, if you're Maryland or Rutgers or, any of these low-end ass Big 10 football teams, like your plight in life is we're going to make a bunch of money. We're not going to pay NIL. We're not really going to try. And like 4 wins is good enough for us. Like that's fine. We don't need to go to the CFP because we're making all this money from the TV deal. The real equalizer will come in when that Big 10 TV deal is no longer a situation, no longer contributing. Because then what's going to have to take place? They're actually going to have to start getting into the CFP with more than just 2 or 3 teams. And unfortunately, that's not going to change for many years. So that's why they don't want to change the selection process. That's why they want more teams, because that's just the easy, why wouldn't you question if you're the Big 10?
Yeah, I think it'll be very interesting to see who and how this, because I think there's a lot of momentum for 24. And usually when that's the case, you end up getting 24. How are you going to get ABC and ESPN on board with that? How are you? Because I still maintain if you go to 24, you're going to have a play-in model. And those games will be somewhere else other than ESPN and ABC.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think at some point, ESPN's not going to want to continue to pay for college football that is not marquee. They already have 99% of the biggest games. You already have, pretty much every game of consequence outside of the Big 10 championship game, or you have all of the biggest games on ESPN and ABC. Why would they? Because you go to 24 and do playing games, I'm telling you, you're watering it down. If you add in the G5, I promise you, you're watering it down. And I don't know why ESPN would want to pay for that. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me from a business perspective. And so we'll see how that plays, but 24 is bad for business, man. I'm telling you, and everybody gets in model. There's a reason the SEC is not in favor of it, and the Big 10, the ACC, and the Big 12 are in favor of it. Because what is it? They all want free passes. It's as simple as that. I understand it from the ACC and the Big 12's perspective. I totally understand it. You cannot raise your bar in that conference. You look at the ACC, they have financial issues. They have infighting issues. You look at the Big 12, I think outside of 4 or 5 clubs, I think you have real hesitation to spend the money it is required to win. You want free passes. That, to me, that's why the Big 12 and the ACC are for it. And at their levels, I totally understand that. The Big 10 should want nothing to do with 24 teams. They should want nothing to do with it. You should want to level set in the Big 10. And this is what just galls me about a lack of quality football in the Big 10. You have every reason to win in the Big 10. Oh, except you're already getting paid a ton of money. You're getting in, and this is the $100 million per school per year problem. I'm getting $100 million. Why am I going to spend any of that?
Yeah.
I'm Minnesota. I'm Rutgers. I'm the dregs of the Big Ten. Why am I going to spend the requisite amount of money to compete with Ohio State? Why am I going to do that? So they don't. And they don't. They don't spend and they don't compete. And so we wind up with Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Indiana. For as long as you have that money at Indiana, you're going to be able to compete because Sig's excellent at what he does. And then who else? Who's the next Mark Cuban in the Big Ten? Who's the next program in the Big Ten that has a donor that's willing to fund an explosion of talent through NIL? Because that's truly what this is about. The portal is an arms race, and I think we all know that. And we're going to talk about Kalani Sitake here in a minute, but he said something interesting the other day about how we're never going to get into a bidding war. We're never going to outspend opponents. That's exactly right. Because BYU doesn't have to. BYU's after quality, not quantity. And my question in the Big Ten is, why are you not after quantity and quality? You have the money. Why are you not doing everything you can do at Rutgers to win? Why are you not winning at Wisconsin, at Nebraska? Why are you not winning? You're not willing to spend the money that's required. Matt Rule, in my opinion, and I know we've fought tooth and nail over Matt Rule on this show in the past. Matt Rule's not a bad football coach. Has Matt Rule ever proven to be an elite football coach? Certainly not. But he's better than the resources he's not getting at Nebraska. Yeah, my belief is that Matt Rule has a money problem and a resource problem at Nebraska, which is why Trev Alberts is at Texas A&M and not Nebraska. I don't believe that Matt Rule is a bad football coach.
Yeah, Matt's got $29 million in NIL on his roster, and the top Big Ten schools have 40 plus. So, I mean, there's clearly a discrepancy. I do think that, I do think that Matt, if Matt was able to spend the same, obviously it would be closer, but it's hard to say. I think that, I think the problem is like I'd rather look at Matt Campbell than Matt Rule. You look at Campbell and you got to ask the question, what are the expectations, right? I mean, Penn State's the best example of how much are you willing to spend to get it off the ground as fast as possible, right? Like if you're willing to spend 40 to 50 a year, you're going to get talent there, and you're going to get talent there in mass. People know, hey, if you go there, that's a school that is capable of competing for a national championship. Because I'm a big believer in that as a recruit, right? Like if you say to a recruit, here's school A and here's school B. Well, if school A has consistently been in the college football playoff or been around it or been in it to a point where you can say, yeah, if I went there, I could totally see us competing for a national championship, versus school B that maybe has a recently newly hired head coach, but doesn't really have a track record like UCLA, let's say, hey, like spending money, but doesn't have a track record in CFP. Well, of course, you're probably going to go to Penn State, or you're probably going to go to Ohio State, or any of these schools that regularly compete in the CFP. And so that to me is the biggest problem for the Big 12 and the ACC, is that they don't have, like, the Big 12 doesn't have a single school that they can stake to, hey, this school could compete for a national championship. You can't say that about Texas Tech. Like, you're not there. You're not national championship good at this point. So that's where I sit here and I say, yeah, sure, the 2014 playoff, I agree with you, has a ton of momentum, which means it'll probably get done. Does that mean it's good for the sport, or it's somehow encouraging the right behaviors in college football? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And as usual with these stories, the people who want to blame ESPN, you're missing the whole conversation here, dude. This isn't ESPN trying to hold back the college football playoff. right? It's because it's not really up to ESPN in that sense. This is ESPN saying, hey, like, we want to pay for what we want to pay for. And if you guys really want to push this forward, you're going to have to go through another TV partner. And that's it. That's it. So whether that's Fox or whoever the hell it's going to be, somebody will pony up the cash to pay for those early round games. And it's just that simple. And unfortunately, I don't know, man. I'm just not a big fan of, because I can see it now. Okay, 24 teams. We're going to be on the show one day, and we're going to be talking about some ass matchup in the first round, and we're going to be like, yeah, man, remember when this was a regular season game? Remember when we had a big-time game right here between two SEC teams or Big Ten teams or whatever, and they were trying to get into a smaller field, a 12-team field, a 4-team field?
Yeah.
Because I think everyone forgets that too. This used to be 4 teams. Like it's not like this started with 12. It used to be 4.
I also think this is why I hate talking about 2014 playoffs.
Yeah.
Because so many universities that play football and basketball don't want to win because they don't want to spend, because education's expensive right now. The funding is being cut. You have so many of these universities that are, you look at, I was reading an article the other night about, you want to know what a sycophant I am? I'm in Hawaii, unable to sleep in the middle of the night, reading an article about how Indiana is consolidating programs and cutting and slashing. And like, you look at how universities are having to parse their money now, and they're eliminating not just the lacrosse team, but they're eliminating entire curriculums.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting rid of entire departments at the college level. And then you ask yourself, well, why doesn't TCU want to do what's required to win in college football? Well, because they're not generating. What did Texas generate revenue-wise last year? $340 million?
Yeah, something like that.
The number one revenue-generating university in all of college sports is Texas, and at $340 million. And you look at, like, Ohio State, I think was $295 million. Big 12 schools aren't even participating at that level. And I look at Texas, who Big 12 fans willingly held the door for, say, get out of here. We don't want you in this conference. And they just made $340 million. And you look at, speaking of Trev Alberts, you look at Texas A&M at $230+ million, former Big 12 school. And Oklahoma, $230 million, former Big 12 school, who you held the door for, Mike Gundy. Scumbag. Right? Like, you look at, hell, USC making $230 million, former Pac-12 school. There's a reason that these universities want to play in the Big Ten and the SEC, because they need the money to survive academically. So then we get into these 24, 16, 12, 10, 2, 9, 6 playoffs where everybody seems to have the right number. And I'll just go back to what I've said. And Reese Davis from ESPN agrees with me. 24 is not good.
I think 24 is preposterous and 16's bordering on it. I wish they would leave it at 12 and do an extra round of games on campus. Right now, the struggle is largely due to business and control, and it's not necessarily for the good of the game. And the coaches who are getting behind this, I believe, and reasonable minds can differ, but the coaches who are behind this think it's going to save their job. It's not.
It's not going to save their job. I'm telling you now.
Goes on to say later in the clip, hey, look at Kurt Cignetti. Not that they're going to fire Kurt Cignetti, but is the expectation not championship or bust now that you've done it? Is that not what the expectation is at Indiana now?
Yeah. How could it be anything less? I mean, the only truer words spoken are that Ken Mainer's a stud because he gifted 5 Monty Show memberships.
Oh, okay. Let me see here. There you go.
Thank you.
Nice.
Ken Maynor, we appreciate that. In the comments section, after you hit the like button, Where are you 12? Are you 16? I think 12 is the maximum it should ever be. I still maintain that. I think it has to be merit-based. I understand we're going to go to 16 or 24. 12, 16, or 24. Where do you guys come down on the college football playoff? I would absolutely, I'd be at 12. So, but I made the 2014 playoff. What do you mean you wish me well in the future endeavors? As an Oak State fan, do you guys see how asinine it is that you held the door for Oklahoma and Texas to leave this league? That you rooted, oh, is Texas back again? They made 340, I think it's $343 million in revenue last year. And you quite literally held the door and packed their shit so they could leave the conference.
Yes.
You brought moving boxes and tape and were like, how can we help? How can we get you out of here very fast?
Pack everything up. We're out of here.
Let that sink in, that the Missouris, the Texas A&Ms, the Nebraskas, the Texas, the Oklahoma, all the universities that used to be in this conference and now are making exponentially more money than anybody else in this conference. Let that sink in. I will never understand it. I'll never understand it. And Oak State fan, you're one of the worst offenders of this because you were so sure that you didn't need Bedlam and you were so sure that you didn't want Oklahoma. It's a huge mistake. Can you imagine the Big 12 with Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, and A&M? Just bring them back.
And now Tech.
Can you imagine how much better off, how much stronger the foundation of the Big 12 would be? If you didn't have to worry about Sonny Dykes in Fort Worth or, Chrome Dome down there in Waco. If they were just irrelevant, if it didn't matter that Matt Campbell went to Epstein U and left Ames, if your survival wasn't very closely linked to Kalani Sitake not taking the Penn State job. But instead it is, because you have all these other major football brands that are thriving in the SEC. And that might be the worst part. Most of them went to the SEC.
Yeah, and I just think it snowballs, right? I mean, when you have when you have major brands leave your conference, then you're left with the rest of it. And when the rest of it doesn't win enough, you've got a bunch of average ass matchups. Now, as a Big 12 observer, there will be good games for Baylor this year. I'm sure that DJ Lagway will find a way to light the world on fire, and James is going to come in here and tell us as a Baylor fan that they're the best thing the Big 12 has ever seen. But I'm just telling you, nationally, nobody cares. That's the problem in the Big 12, man. Just the same way we don't care about Duke football, even though Duke football with Darian Mensah competed for an ACC championship, nobody cares. And the reason I say that is because all we care about, or used to care about, now that we're going to 24 allegedly, is big game matchups week in and week out. If you pay attention on Twitter, you're already seeing that, hey, this weekend or that weekend or this day or that day is like 7-8 big time games deep. That's all anyone cares about, man. That's literally all we want as college football fans, is these huge games of consequence. So the idea that you would take it to 24 because the powers that be just want a free pass, you're going to ruin those days. Like, I'm going to sit there one day in my life, and we're going to have a 2014 playoff, and I'm going to sit there and I'm going to watch, some big time SEC game, and I'm going to be like, yeah, this isn't as big a deal because you're both in already. Like, LSU at night is not as big a deal because whoever they're playing, Bama, Georgia, Texas, whoever it might be, you're both already in the CFP anyway. Like, I can take out my chalkboard and I can go, okay, cool. Here's, Georgia, Bama, Ole Miss, apparently, LSU, Texas, OU. And then let me just draw a line right here at Meathead Summerall, as all those teams above him are in. And that's where we start to talk about, are you in or are you out?
Yeah.
Like, that's what we can do for every conference. And that's the problem. We no longer have questions. It's just like, all right, cool. Like, we're just going to, I'll have it on, but I'll probably be outside doing yard work because I already know what's going on with this game.
Texas made $340 million. Texas Tech made $150 million, yet spent the same in NIL. Tech made less than every Big Ten team, yet they are destroying all but 2 or 3 of them in recruiting. I love $90 oil.
Like,
yeah, Cody's not hurting, right? I mean, it's so true though. And I have a lot of respect for life in the Big 12. It's very difficult, in my opinion, to be it's very difficult to be the also ran the afterthought. BYU last year, afterthought. Notre Dame, scandal, even though Notre Dame didn't belong in the college football playoff last year. We lost the only 2 games that mattered.
Bavakwa.
Right? Like, and then Bavakwa comes on and says, greatest 10-game run in the history of college football, which it wasn't. I mean, you look at the fact that nobody was upset BYU was out. That's BYU. Mormons. Magic underpants. Where are the Irish? Now I'm pissed.
It wasn't surprising that BYU was out. That's the problem. It wasn't like
it was expected.
Yeah, that's right. It was expected, and we've argued, and I'm sure we'll argue it over it again at some point. But the bottom line is, everyone, you can look at a team. This is what I said earlier about recruits, right? And you do this in we as people do this in the CFP. Okay, what team we talking about? Miami? They're in. Notre Dame? No, dude. 2 games on your schedule. You lost them both. You're out. BYU? Okay, look at the schedule. Lost 2 of those teams. 2 of those games, the same team. You're out for that reason because you don't get the benefit of the doubt. And that sucks. And we can argue the semantics of that, but that is the case. And that's the problem, man, is like, you said there, hey, like, I have a lot of, empathy for life in the Big 12.
Yeah.
But part of me, when you say that, is like, dude, like, didn't they make this life for themselves? I mean, did you really expect that you were going to somehow get into a better spot by packing Texas and OU's things? That's what I just don't understand about this conference. And again, I maintain that if the Big 12 if Big 12 schools, ADs, presidents, administrators, like those people, not your Mark, but those people, if those people took it seriously, I'm telling you, the Big 12 could push the Big 10 in the SEC on the football field. They may not be better than them consistently. They may not beat them regularly, but you would be competitive, bro. You wouldn't be getting shut out 35-0 or whatever that was by Oregon. That wouldn't happen if you took it seriously. And I would say that this even extends to Tech right now, to Ryan Duffy's comment. You know what's funny about that, dude? You spent all that money to do what? What did you really do? You spent all that money to go out into the CFP and get embarrassed and represent the Big 12 extremely poorly.
And how many fights did we have about Baron Morton on this show?
Yeah. Oh, he's the best quarterback we've ever seen, Monty. What do you mean? This is a Utah show. No, actually, it's just the truth that your boy is not good enough. And now, you know what the real problem is, Tech fan? You damn well better hope Will Hammond's ACL is healed and he's good to go and he's the guy for the moment. And that Utah performance wasn't just Utah quitting on the game. Like, I'm a Will Hammond guy. I like bro. I like his skill set. I think he's good. But you need him now. Like, he has to deliver now. And as far as Brendan Sorsby is concerned, I mean, I'm not. We're going to have to see him actually get his eligibility back.
Does he ever play another college football game?
I mean, he shouldn't. Will he? I don't know.
I think that's very unlikely. I think it's very I mean, how would you even make that argument? How would you make the argument that Tech's in a tough spot here nor there? My point is, I'm all in on 12. 12 is the maximum number for me. I could see tweaking 12, some playing games, maybe. Okay, great. 16 and 24, I just don't know why you would even go there. There's no reason. I actually thought, and I think Jimmy Otson's the one who said this, I thought it was really exciting the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. I thought the selection process, the aggrieved parties, all people want to do is bitch and moan, right? Yep. Everybody's a conspiracy theorist. You know, we're an SEC show.
Tinfoil Union.
Yeah, what did Boner Bob say, or Bong Boy, or whatever his name is?
Boner Bob.
Whatever they were. Oh, Gloria, this. Like, totally get it, right? Like, totally get it. Everybody and your mom is paying us to say this or that.
Right.
I didn't see that money, unfortunately. Listen, I just spent thousands in Hawaii. If you could make sure Gloria pays me, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to bitch and moan about something. It's what sports fans do. It is conspiracies and Kyrie's flat earth living.
I just complain about things.
It's what sports fans do. The luxury that I have working in this industry for 30 years is I'm very, very unemotional about sports. I have very few brands that I get my balls twisted over. And I am telling you now, I don't have a dog in the fight for a 12, 16, 24. I'm a Notre Dame fan, and we're in no matter what. So suck it, right? Like, it is what it is.
You are what you are.
So I don't have to worry about it. But my point is, if everybody gets in, what's the point?
Yeah.
The regular season is meaningless. And I am somebody that loves that crisp, cool air of late September, early October.
Yes.
And BYU and Utah's game meaning something, really meaning something. That,
because it has.
At some point, Michigan and Ohio State, that game means something. That at some point, when we have the largest, cocktail party on the planet, that it means something. That Texas and OU means something. And when 24 teams get in, we can lose 2, 3, 4 games. Remember when losing one game meant you were in real jeopardy of not making the postseason?
That's it. One game. That's it.
You lost 2. Your season's over.
Don't talk to me about, oh, well, Saban bought all his talent and they had this unbelievable advantage. Dude, you don't know what it's like to be on that fine of a line. Oh, hey, you lost one game? Yeah, sorry, Nick. That's not your year, dude.
Over.
And in fact, dude, you lost one game 2 seasons in a row. Now we're going to have to start talking about firing you. Like, do you understand that, dude? Like, that's what I think people don't understand. So when you have, just also ran, head coach in the Big 12, coming out here complaining about money, or we don't need Bedlam, or we don't need this, or we don't need that. Like, you don't know what it's like to compete for national championships. So you just complain about the stuff that you think is important to you that actually isn't that important. Like that, 100%. That's the crazy part about it, dude. Like, look at the brands in the Big 12. BYU, from a brand perspective, fits into the CFP just fine. They're big enough nationally where they can fit in, but they have to go undefeated. They have to go undefeated, and they have to take it out of the committee's hands. If you're undefeated, you're in the CFP. If you're not, you're not. That's the problem for the Big 12 right now.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Marcus would like to point out that I've broken the show rule of reading non-member comments, in the quote, shit show is alive and well in the comment section.
Come on, dude.
Okay.
First of all, thanks for the welcome back comment, dude. Man, that was really heartfelt and just a warm welcome back, man. Wow. Thank you.
Yeah. I think the non-member comments are never good. So, Stadium Guy James, also never good. Bong, the Big 12 is going to survive because they added good teams. They're going to compete for Big 12 titles.
Yeah,
Okay.
Here's the problem, dude. You can't attach the good label to Colorado. That's the problem.
No, I would agree with that. Sorsby can play at Liberty. They like redemption projects.
Yeah, give him the Charlie Brewer treatment, right?
Jesus Christ. Exactly right. James, maybe not Colorado. Exactly. Scoop. Hey, Scoop. The Flat Earth Society. Exactly right. Exactly right. Stadium Guy James. The only thing that Bong has said that is true is that the Big Ten does want KU for basketball.
Yeah, but here's the problem. Everybody wants KU for basketball. Like, who doesn't want KU for basketball?
Randomness. That system sucked ass. A quality comment there.
And we were saying that.
You know. We're really adding to the show with that one.
Anytime the comment says sucked ass, you just know that it's just a very generalized comment. Oh,
Yeah,
wow, man, that chicken burrito sucked ass. Wow, thanks for the depth on that.
Jake is spot on about the Big 12, undefeated or bust. Isn't it always?
Yeah.
Isn't it always? I mean, it's wild to me. It's always the Pac fan. It's always Pac-12 fan. They're, you know what they are. They're, I feel bad. Like, I think the perfect example of this is Oregon State football fan. Oregon State football fan had done everything right. Research Stadium was going to be beautiful. They had just beat Oregon, Bo Nix, like the whole thing. And then the Pac-12 melts down, and they absolutely got a thumb more than knuckle deep right in the brown eye and had nowhere to go. No fault of their own. And they came on the show and were talking about burning their diplomas and their football jerseys, and they were never going to eat beaver again, which is a personal decision. And I don't question you for that. But the point is, you were on at like Oregon State fan is the aggrieved party. They are the victims. They are the martyrs. Everybody else, you followed Kurt Schultz. Like, did you think that was going to end well? You believed idiot face who was like, oh, $600 million coming our way. Never happening.
What an ass take.
You
dude.
don't know anything, Monty. I know we're wrong about everything. I'm just telling you, like, the G6 needs its own playoff system. It has no business competing in the college football playoff. None whatsoever. No, it just deserves better than that. And there's revenue to be made by having their own, which they are, as we exclusively reported 2 weeks ago. They have the framework of a college football playoff for the G6.
Yeah, I don't think the 24 team is being created with the thought of including the G6 at a higher rate. I think that I agree. The G6 needs its own playoff, and yeah, we did report that, and I think that it would be good. See, like, if you're the Pac-12, this is my point. See, I'm so glad you brought this up. If you're the Pac-12, why are you not championing? Why are you not on the forefront of the new format for the G6? Why are you not, hey, we're the Pac-12, we're going to push this thing forward, because what we know is if we're so good and we're so dominant, we're going to get the lion's share of the CFP at the G6 level, or whatever they're going to call it. That's what you should be doing. It's that kind of creative thinking that they don't have right now. And I just think it's I've always thought it's such an opportunity for the G6 to have their own format. They really need it.
Yeah. Rock and Rant, good morning. I'm not sure if you caught it while on vacation, but reports said ACC has no split on 24 team. Then Mario Cristobal came out and said he wasn't in favor of it. Norvell wants 138 teams for the record. I think Norvell's onto something there. You know, everybody gets in. I think the ACC is such a mess.
Yeah.
Why would the ACC not be in favor of 24 teams? You would be stupid not to be in favor of it. Right. And Jim Phillips coming out was, and I think I even had it in one of my notes. I always keep constant notes. Jim Phillips deep throating Bavacqua and Notre Dame is exactly what he should be doing. Right. And he said something like, the ACC's in the best shape it's ever been in since I've gotten here. Like, I understand it. I totally understand why he wants the college football playoff to expand to 24.
Mm-hmm.
You need as many ACC teams engaged and involved. That's the only way Dabo's getting back in, because they just don't look ready to compete, right? But I think a lot came out of the ACC spring meetings. I actually thought it was very productive. But here's the thing that I would ask you. If you are the ACC, do you really want to be in any kind of alliance with the Big Ten? When has that ever ended well?
I don't know. Why don't you ask Pac-12?
Well, I think that's exactly right. If you're the ACC, do you want to be in any kind of partnership with the Big Ten? Because all you're doing is giving them access to your biggest brands. And I think we already are well aware that the Big Ten is on the hunt for basketball expansion.
Yeah, well, and I also think for the ACC and for the Big 12, your two conferences that are, in this position where you're on publicly, you're going to say that you're trying to compete with the SEC and the Big 10. Privately, we know what it is, which is you're scheming with them to help them. You're being Robin to the Batman, right? Like the Big 12, we know that Brett Yormark and Greg Sankey work closely together. They're in lockstep. The 2014 playoff is really the first thing in the last several years that publicly they've been on different sides of. If you go back and you just read between the lines and you see what they're all talking about. But if you're the ACC, I mean, what choice do you have? You don't have another choice. You have to kind of, work with the Big Ten in the sense of, there's been numerous amount of times where the UNCs and the Dukes of the world have allegedly been looking at the Big Ten. There's been all kinds of realignment talk, especially when the whole Florida State meltdown was happening. So I just think it's there is some synergy there. There's also synergy with the Notre Dame angle of people saying that Notre Dame should be in the Big Ten or not. And Notre Dame also having the scheduling situation with the ACC. So I just think I think college football fans so desperately want it to just be two super conferences competing against each other, right? The SEC and the Big 12 versus the Big 10 and the ACC. I've seen that a million times. Everyone constantly talks about it. But I do think that does kind of happen behind the scenes, just based on what we get told and like the things that, we hear. Like, I do think there is some of that positioning. And, I think unfortunately for the ACC, like, I don't know what is next for that conference. Like with the Big 12, I can say, okay, cool. Like if you guys can get, like if TCU can get going a little bit, if Baylor could get going a little bit, like if you could just get like 2, maybe even 3 teams, just be 8-win teams, 9-win teams. I don't even need you to be CFP good, but just add some depth to this conference. Then it's like, all right, cool. Like there's some quality there.
Yeah.
But the ACC, I look at that conference and I'm like, bro, it really is Miami and everybody else, because Mike hasn't really figured it out at Florida State since that one season when Jordan Travis broke his leg. And Duke and Virginia and these different, they're not CFP schools, man. We know that. That's just not who they are. They're basketball schools. So I just don't know what to, like, where does the ACC go?
Yeah, I hate the 24-team thing. I'm just not in favor of it. Yeah. 24-team reeks of lower-level teams and conferences trying to get money for other revenue streams like Amazon or Fox.
Let me ask you guys a question.
Totally agree.
How much sports content do you digest on Amazon Prime? Because last night you get a Game 7 in the NBA, and I'm sitting on the couch last night looking for topics, doing the show prep, going through our process. I'm like, hold on a second. Like, Larden is on TV tonight. Like, I should probably look for him to have his usual inconsistent, poor ass Game 7 performance that he's had over his entire career. Of course, he came true on that. 9 points last night. Nice work, dude. But I'm like flipping around YouTube TV and I'm like, hold on. No, it's Amazon. And
Correct.
I don't know, man. I haven't. The Amazon thing, like the NFL, it works kind of, but only if it's a great matchup. And typically it's not because it's Thursday night football. So it's ass. So I don't really digest a whole lot of Amazon Prime sports content. I just don't. Like, it's not, I don't know. Maybe I'm missing it a little bit during football season, but I just haven't found myself like hankering over it.
Yeah, I think that I watch a little bit. I have a Fire TV, so it shows me live sports on a pretty regular basis. So I think that definitely is kind of where I will end up on it. I don't intentionally go out of my way to watch it. Boy, you guys are fully in on a 16-teamer. If you in the comment section on YouTube, we have a poll running 65% to 35%, 16 over 24. So, hey, listen, that's pretty definitive. At least I'm glad. It makes me feel better about your morality as a viewer and a football fan that you're choosing 16 instead of 24.
I think at least with 16, the one thing I'd say about 16 is the bye week, format is a little easier with 16 than it would be with 24. Obviously the NFL is a 14-team format, but the going to 16, I guess is fine. I don't know, man. I feel like this is where it's hard as a host of a show and someone who looks at this stuff and covers this stuff and doesn't just look at it as a fan. Like, I find myself looking at college football saying, like, at some point I'm going to get heartbroken over the fact that, like, this stuff just doesn't matter as much as it once did. Like, like everyone always talks about, well, the Appy State Michigan game, or like, that type of dynamic in college football where you have these one-off instances, that type of thing, I just don't think will matter as much moving forward. How could it? I mean, how could if it goes to 24, it just the watered down effect of that. I think that you're famous on the show for saying the unintended consequences. I don't think that we know fully yet the unintended consequences of what 24 would do. Like, we can sit here and say, yeah, I'd water it down, but how far does that go? Like, how far does that hurt TV ratings and just the whole vibe of the CFP? Because up until this point, 4 and 12 have been dynamite. Like, to your point, it's been a pretty good couple of years with 12, but you start going to 24 and I got to start looking around for where the CFP is. I don't know that I love that.
Yeah, 24 is a joke, in my opinion. Yes, Muldoon. Game 7 tonight. The NHL playoffs have been outstanding. And as soon as Connor McDavid gets to the Blackhawks, everything will be right in the world. If the Bears are on, I have to. Otherwise, who cares? Well,
agreed.
I don't think anybody willingly. Amazon, if you have a Fire TV, you can't avoid it. Like, I'm watching Jack Ryan right now. Pretty good for non-sports stuff. I don't ever think of Amazon Prime for sports stuff. I really don't. And that's probably, 0 Amazon Prime for me. Cryptic 2014 playoff is Alabama versus Idaho in round 1. I'm not interested in that. I'm just not interested in that. That makes it very hard for me to get excited. Let's see. I forgot who said it. This isn't my idea, but I like it. Each P4 team gets 2 auto bids, 8 at large, 16 playoff team. Yeah. But why auto bid anybody?
Conference championship games, man.
That's what I would do. If you win your conference championship game, get in. Keep it at 12. I watch The Boys and Invincible on Prime. Great shows. Okay. Am I the only one watching Jack Ryan right now? That's a good series. It's hard for me to take Krasinski or whatever, John Krasinski from The Office.
Yeah.
It was hard for me to take him seriously as like an action hero. He's actually pretty good on that show.
Mm-hmm.
The guy that plays Jim Greer,
actor, dude.
the guy that plays Jim Greer on Jack Ryan, pretty good actor. I don't know his name. Probably should. Sankey will say no. We stay at 12. I think Sankey should say no.
And I think he's got a pile of paperwork with analytics that proves his point.
Why should he say yes? Because the Big Ten won't go to strength of schedule alone. They won't do that. Roche, good morning. Hey, Roche, how about, did you see your guy? And look, I'm not the one on the show who did it, but this picture of your guy, did you see Morgan Scally just whistle blowing Kyle Whittingham, like talking about how great he is and he understands why he took kids and coaches from Utah?
I never sucked any ding dongs.
I think the interview that Morgan gave talking about Kyle Whittingham, I think was so incredibly important. I thought it was almost cathartic.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like a new beginning for Utah football. I think he had to say this. Did I know he would go to Michigan? No. Did I feel like he could go coach somewhere? 100%. He's a good coach, and if I'm in Kyle's shoes, he's got to do what he feels is best for Michigan. I mean, is that not exactly what he should be saying? I think it is almost word for word, spot on from Morgan Scally. This is Morgan Scally talking about Kyle Whittingham. He's going to lean on contacts. He's going to lean on what he knows. He knew our players. He knew our coaches. He knows the recruiting environment here in Utah. That's just him trying to do what's best for Michigan. I can't sit here and fault him. I mean, that's a really strong position.
Yeah. Let me ask this question, though. I agree. It's a classy take, taking the high road. I think it's well done, just on its face. But I saw this, and my first question was, what does Mark Harlan think of this? Because I think that, because I think that, I think it matters when you look at what the direction that Utah is going. If you think about we all know the turmoil that happened here behind the scenes, right? Yes. We got a pretty clear view into that following Witt's departure.
Yeah.
So it's been pretty quiet in Salt Lake the last couple of weeks, last month. And I feel like he does this interview, takes the high road, does a really good job. Give him credit. Absolutely. 100%. But I have to say, like, I do wonder what it looks like right now for him and his relationship with administration. Like, obviously, he's going to be the guy that's going to get way more access to the media than Mark would or anybody else, any other higher ups, if you will. But I just am curious what the sentiment is, because you can't tell me that you put out public email or private emails in the public spotlight and you do what they did and they've just moved on from that. Like, I don't know, man. I think that's I think that's what they'd like the public to just think, that everything is, they've just moved on and they're no big deal. But I don't necessarily think that. I think the only way you actually move on is by winning. And if he wins, then it'll allow people to say, okay, cool, we can move on from Witt. Morgan got us 10 wins, which he should do with this schedule. If you just look at the schedule, we've done it already. It should be a 10-win schedule, even in year one. But if you struggle, then I think it keeps pushing the Witt story further. So no pressure.
And I felt like it was exactly what needed to be said, in my opinion. Roche also says, in some ways, I think Morgan is already better than Witt.
Okay, well, what ways? Because I think you're you got to be careful with that, man.
That's a bold statement, but we'll see. I just don't know why you need to go there. That's what I would say. Why do you need to, why does anybody have to be better or worse, right? Ken Maynor for $5, waiting to see who plays Carolina. Dude, I think, has Carolina lost a game yet in the playoffs? Weren't they like 7-0 or something?
8-0, 2 sweeps.
Yeah, 8-0. Right. I said, yeah, that doesn't math. I think it's either, I think Carolina or Colorado have been the two best teams in the playoffs. And I think the Canadiens will win tonight. I want to say that Montreal's minus 102. Buffalo at home is minus 118 at KeyBank in Buffalo. And I'm taking the Canadiens. So I think Carolina's been the best team in the playoffs. They have been very good. Very, very good. If Morgan falls on his face, Harlan's seat will get awfully hot, especially if Witt makes the college football playoff in the first year. Ooh.
Agreed.
Should Mark Harlan be under the microscope already?
Yes.
The athletic director at
Yes.
Utah?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
This
Hey,
has
Mark.
not been a great year.
Hey, Mark, dude, they just expanded the tournament to 76 teams. Do you think you'll still be out of the tournament?
You got to get basketball fixed. Yeah, you've got to get basketball fixed.
Hey, Mark, they're talking about expanding the CFP to 24 teams. Let's say that doesn't happen, but we go to 16. Do you think we can get into the CFP if they got 16 teams?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Hey, oof. You better figure it out. You better figure it out.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot on the line for them. There's more opportunity than there's ever been. There's more opportunity allegedly coming down the pipe in football. And there's a lot of questions here, man. Like that's like Utah again. And yeah, I certainly was wrong on this one. Year one Utah, I really thought they'd come in the league and dominated. They didn't. And the Witt thing happens, and it's really, I find myself, obviously, like I'm not a BYU or a Utah fan, but I find myself being more passionate about the plight of Utah football than BYU. Like Kalani's doing a great job. BYU's in a great place. They're going to have another great season. No question about it. But I'm telling you, this season is just different for Utah in the sense that I don't think it's going to flame. I don't think the guy's going to put out like a 4-win season. I would be shocked by that. But part of me really struggles with the idea that this bro is going to step in year one and win 10. The schedule says he should, but I just feel like we know how the Big 12 is, dude. It's very, if the Witt, listen, if the Witt's final year taught us anything, we learned the lesson that a 10-win season and a 7-win season is like 7 hugely consequential plays on the football field.
Yeah.
But couldn't be more drastically different in the public eye. So I just, you can't just guarantee 10, man. I'm telling you, it's so much more challenging than that. Injuries and there's so many things that can happen.
I would agree. What's going to suck about a 24 playoff is when Alabama plays Idaho and loses their QB for the rest of the year to injury. Wow. Don't speak that into existence. Brandon Butler fans are already questioning Harlan's meltdowns. Now his decision-making is in question. Has to be. Has to be. Right? You have to. TJ Beck, hello. Good to see you, sir. Don't worry. The Pac-12 will sue to attempt to get more money. That's their MO. Well, that is what they do. Oh, look, Cougs Johnson, where have you been? Ken, that's embarrassing, especially when you were running your mouth earlier. Oh, boy.
What did Ken say? I didn't even see any comment from Ken.
Don't know. Stadium guy James, Utah's players are excited because of the changes that their coach is making to their offense and defense. Let's see if it actually works first before we crown them. Yeah, I don't think anybody's crowned Utah the Big 12 champions. Cody Campbell.
Why don't you take that
Cody
same
Campbell's
logic?
wallet has a different philosophy.
Yeah, why don't you take that logic, James, and apply that to TCU when you roll out the Jaden Craig take?
Well, he's an Oak State fan.
Right. My bad.
So,
sorry, I get confused. My fault.
And with an esthetician playing quarterback, you know.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
You know. It just is what it is. What do you guys make do you guys still hate Lane Kiffin? Do you guys hate Lane? I think you hate Lane Kiffin.
I mean,
I think it's pretty
strong word.
clear. Did you guys hear Lane Kiffin essentially said I couldn't recruit at Ole Miss because kids' families think that Ole Miss is racist. He claims, Lane Kiffin, that he could not get players, certain players, to come to Ole Miss because, quote, my grandparents aren't letting me move to Oxford, Mississippi. That doesn't come up when you say Baton Rouge. Parents were sitting here this weekend saying the campus diversity feels so great, it feels like there's no segregation. Okay. Is this just Lane Train being bitter because Paul Feinbaum's pissed?
And the most important thing to factor in here, this wasn't a slip of the tongue. I talked to the writer who did the Vanity Fair piece the other day, Kurt Smith. He said he didn't even ask Kiffin about the racism aspect of it. Kiffin just started riffing, and this is Kiffin trying to wipe Ole Miss off the face of the earth. He is still very bitter at them, even though they're the jilted lover. He's bitter at them, Greeny, because they wouldn't let him coach in the playoffs.
Well,
I can't say that I 100% disagree with that, Paul. I mean, I can't because the problem is, dude, is that Lane, you didn't say this to Jimmy, the beat writer, dude. You said this to Vanity Fair in like a big time, serious sit down with a big entity and outlet. Like, you know what I mean? Like there was this, I saw the comments and I couldn't agree more that it was a tactical thing. Like he thought about this because you don't just casually roll out with a racism card if you're Lane Kiffin. You know what I mean? Like that's one of those takes that's like so far out of left field that like you clearly thought about this. And I just, do I hate Lane Kiffin? I don't hate the guy. Hate's a strong word, but dude, why are you doing this? Why are you playing this card? Why are you causing more drama in an off season that was filled with turmoil? Dude, you understand.
This is who Buddy is.
Yeah. Lane, you understand you gave us a fresh tarmac video this offseason, right? You guys remember the Marty Smith tarmac interview? Like, I don't know, man. They damn well better win, dude. He had better win, dude.
Racism is alive and well. I don't know that I buy or necessarily believe that recruits are like, yeah, my grandparents, they don't like the old South there, Lane. Do you worry about racism in Oxford, Mississippi as a $1 million NIL recruit? Probably not. Do your grandparents? Probably not. Are you reticent to send your grandkids to Ole Miss because of racism? Probably not. Could it be true? Certainly it could be true. Is Lane Kiffin a liar? Probably not.
Schemer, certainly.
Schemer. Probably not.
Trying to control their little worlds.
I don't know, dude.
Probably not.
And then of course there's Ole Miss for whatever reason just took this beating last week, right? Like the Lane Kiffin thing happens.
Yeah.
And then Sark just out of nowhere for no apparent reason goes out and rolls out this basket weaving take, which I don't understand why Sark is talking about Ole Miss, dude. Like, I don't is this, I'm starting to question, is it personal with Pete Golding? Is it that these dudes just don't like Pete? Is that what it is?
Are you really questioning that?
Like
Pete Golding's an asshole. Like nobody likes Pete Golding.
Well,
right? Rock and Rant. Dear Lane, please give us a dissertation on why the interstate system near Baton Rouge happens to go the way that it does since Ole Miss has its issues. I'll hang up and wait for your response. I agree. This whole situation with Lane is making the SEC look bad, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's certainly not helping them, dude.
Is it? It's not hurting them. I mean, nobody likes Ole Miss. Why? Why is this a revelation? I mean, yes, the Sark comments are interesting. And now Steve Sarkisian is standing on his GPA book about how great the education at Texas is. And I think it's interesting that he threw shot at Ole Miss over it. You know, basket weaving at Ole Miss.
Come on, bro.
Who doesn't need those skills? I know I do. I'm not saying that Steve Sarkisian's correct. I'm not saying that Lane Kiffin is correct, but they're not wrong. Right? Do you think Pete Golding's worried about transfer classes or what courses transfer into Ole Miss? Do you think he's worried about racism at Ole Miss?
I think that, look, dude, I don't, the conversation isn't about whether people dislike Ole Miss and Pete Golding, right? That wasn't really, that's not
but that's why this is happening.
Well, it is, but it's deeper than that, in my opinion, meaning there are levels to it. So if I don't like someone, that doesn't mean I feel the need to comment on them, right? Or like go after them publicly.
Sure.
It has gotten to a point, and it does bring me back to the Pete Golding versus Dabo thing, the tampering situation and all of that. It brings me back to that, and I say, dude, like the dislike for Pete Golding at Ole Miss is now at such a level that you've got two other guys that are capable of beating him regularly, commenting on him, talking about him. Again, the race card, I'm telling you, you don't just do that on accident, man. You don't it makes it worse that it's Vanity Fair just because of the size of that outlet. But you don't just walk into an interview and, unprompted just start rolling that out in a take. That's not an accident.
Right.
That's not how it works. And I think that the problem I have is on both sides of this. So one, yeah, Pete Golding, you're not very likable, dude. You're not very likable. I'm like Trinidad Chambliss, like your game, dude, but you're also not likable with the eligibility thing. I'm not a big fan of that. So like I think that Ole Miss is this program that was heartbroken and just victimized by Lane Kiffin. But you knew what you were getting with Lane Kiffin, dude. Like, let's stop sitting here saying that Ole Miss just was just helpless with Lane Kiffin. You know who this guy is. He's moved around a million times. Like, it's not going to be his first stop or his last stop. It was just a matter of time, man. Now, on Lane's side, Lane is schemy as hell, has bounced around a bunch, and does these kind of things and knows how to operate. And that's why he's really good at being a head coach. And that's why he dominates the portal and wins a lot. But the difference now is that you just did a swap basically inside the same conference. You've got a lot of drama, and you're at LSU now, which was marketed as the best job in college football. Well, you better win at that rate, Lane, because if you don't win at that rate, everyone's going to pull stuff like this comment after the season's over. Then you're going to say, hey, dude, maybe you should have spent more time like focusing on the team and less time doing Vanity Fair interviews, bro.
96.7% of Ole Miss applicants get accepted.
Yeah. Yep.
Not hard to get into Ole Miss. Like, let's not conflate great institution with Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss has earned a lot of this. And again, Pete Golding's an a-hole.
Yeah. Yep.
So, if TCU can get their act together, they can possibly win the Big 12 and maybe the whole thing. That will never happen with Sonny Dykes as coach. Totally agree. Oh, look, the great Sonny Dykes defender. Sir Slurps a lot. Ole Miss football players, school schedule, tree identification, basket weaving, sex ed, how to tie your shoe. You're not wrong. UF acceptance rate is 20%, night and day academically versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss will never be confused with a great institution. It just won't. And that's the reality of it, which is the same thing I say about Georgia.
Oh, gosh. Damn. Dude. How many times? How many times? It's my only question.
When are we going to start looking at Kirby for this? Like, when are we going to start looking at Kirby Smart for putting the community in danger? Because at some point, don't we have to? I mean, 33 incidents. And I mean, 24 driving related incidents, 32 total arrests by 2026, speeding, reckless driving, DUI. I mean, you have an accident that killed people. Now you got Buddy arrested in, like a speed and drug case. I mean, I don't know at what point do you start calling Kirby Smart out for this? Like, at what point do you say, hey, Curbs, I think this is a huge problem. 26, I think, arrests since 2023. Racing, speeding, DUI, drug-related charges included. I mean, you look at, Jamarly Riddle situation, Jalen Carter. I mean, come on. What do you do about this if you're Kirby Smart? What do you do about this?
Yeah, I mean, look, man, I think that you need to make changes, dude. Like, I understand that clearly there's a deal of some kind with Dodge in the football program. I'm not joking. Like, clearly there's some type of deal or some type of something going on that these guys just have this much access. You can't tell me every single one of these guys just went to the dealership and bought a Dodge, an SRT. You can't tell me that they all were just like, yeah, I need a Hellcat, so let's go get it. That's not, there's no way. And I feel like I've never liked the ignorance card out of Kirby. The not going to talk about it, not going to acknowledge it, like no big deal. If you don't talk about it, did it really even happen? I mean, we're a little past that, Kirby. We're at the point where, I have to say you've separated yourself from the greats in the sense that you've got all this stuff that happens every single offseason. Every offseason we get, hey, Georgia Bulldog, charged, arrested, paroled.
Allegedly going 95 miles an hour and had 2 felony drug charges tacked onto that. I mean, you can't just continue to look past this anymore.
No.
You're Kirby Smart. You have a responsibility to the community. You have to do something here. And I don't know how you change this, but at some point, I mean, people have already died, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we should, Ken. When do we get a 30 for 30 on this? I mean, it's crazy to me. It's rite of passage at Georgia. You have to drive a car at triple digit speed in order to make the team. You joke, but is it real?
But think about the outrage over Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss educational stuff, but not the outrage over Georgia players speeding constantly and putting people in danger. Like, that's the type of stuff I'm talking about, man. Like, we're more concerned because I didn't see this trending on Twitter. Like, obviously this is a story, but it wasn't near the story that Lane was. It wasn't near the story that some of the other stuff was. And I was a little surprised by that just because it's happened so many times, man. How many times? Like, all jokes aside, can I get some educational courses at Georgia to give these kids credits towards their degree around safe driving? Legitimately. Can we get that? Can we create it? Can we, like, I don't know at what point does Kirby make a change. I don't know. I'm tired of talking about it, honestly. Like, it gets old constantly. It's like the NFL player who's constantly in trouble off the field and is not worth the time. That's where we are with Georgia right now. Like, at some point, you guys need to move it along here.
Yeah, I think at some point, yeah, nobody will do anything. That's what I think. And Donuts, hello. Coaches have a shelf life. Perhaps Kirby's has expired. Clearly not.
Well, they're still a good team.
They win games.
It's just, yeah. I mean, they're a good team. He's a damn good coach. He's one of the best coaches the SEC's ever had. But I think that there needs to be some control around, hey, we're giving kids this much money and this much access. Like, again, if a kid's making $5 million a year, an $80,000 Hellcat's nothing to them. And the problem is it's a lot to the people that you put in danger and got in accidents with and killed. I would agree. Point. So
I would agree. Lamont Tucker, with all the good stuff, with all the stuff going on in the South, such as gerrymandering, Lane Kiffin is not helping the SEC and Ole Miss with these comments. Well, Georgia, the state of Georgia has a huge special election tomorrow. Like, there's a lot going on in the South.
Yeah, I don't think Burrow's too interested in helping Ole Miss, dude.
Yeah, all the Georgia players will be suspended for half a game against the Citadel, but they gambled on balls and strikes. They have to be gone. Did you guys see the Sorsby update?
Oh, man, dude.
Brendan Sorsby knows that they're going to knuckle deep him in his stuff. He's getting a fish hook in the brown eye because he's asking Brendan Sorsby.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, and I should look it up before I speak off the top of my head. His attorney notified the NCAA that they want a quick resolution because I think he wants to go to the supplemental draft in the NFL.
Right. Yeah.
Because I think he knows that he's done in college football. And they're going to sue, right? They're going to sue. There's no question about it. If he gets found to be ineligible, they're going to sue.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's a lot riding on it. I think this is a huge precedent case. I think this is huge for the gambling industry. But look at the fate of Texas Tech football here. With Brendan Sorsby, who I think is significantly better than Baron Morton. More dynamic, certainly. They're a dangerous football team. Would, in my opinion, again be favored to win the Big 12. Had to be. And I think could win a college football playoff game. Unless Oregon shows up and beats wholesale ass. Or, excuse me, puts belt to Tech ass. With Sorsby, they could win a game.
Mm-hmm.
Which means you can win the college football playoff. Without him, I with all due respect to ACL boy, I just don't think...
ACL boy.
And with all due respect...
I mean, Barron was just as good as Will Hammond last year. So I don't know. This Sorsby thing's huge because he's saying he's a gambling addict. Does that get him special dispensation? Because I think he could make a disability claim.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, dude. Schemers are going to scheme. I think that, again, if you're a Tech fan, I would be writing off Sorsby. I would be saying that that's a lost cause at this point, unless there's just some like shocking turn of events that just, just kind of totally changes this. But I don't know, dude. I think that gambling is just such a cancer to the sporting world, man. You can't have it.
Yeah. Oh, James has a meeting.
Damn.
He's going to go ahead and he's going to head out.
Yeah,
You
man.
know.
All right.
You know. Lubbock County judge assigned to the case is an alumni in charge of energy liquid litigation in the county. I watch Landman. I know how it works in West Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Midland, excuse me.
Midland.
You know, Sorsby should be suspended for a year and put on probation after that. If he does anything at all to break the rules after that, he's done. No, he's done now. He already broke the rules. You know, but that's just my opinion. So, but it's fine. If he plays again, college football is going to be in a bad place, in my opinion. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Whoa. Gee. Anyway, real quick. I do not want to get too far away from this.
Oh man, dude.
The Utah Jazz did not get the number 1 pick in the lottery. Was the tanking worth it? Because now I think they're going to try and trade up to get AJ Devanza, according to Big Daddy Magic, who is not here today, surprisingly. And where's Mike Smith today? Michael. Michael. Are you surprised the Jazz didn't win the lottery?
No. Nope. I think that, look, I think that your odds of winning the lottery, generally speaking, are incredibly slim. You know,
I would agree.
Even if you are a top percentage team. I think that, do I think they're going to try to trade up? Absolutely. No question about it. I mean, come on, dude. I would almost say that's a given. I feel like you've got a really good chance to. I don't know. You know, I don't know, man. I think that I still have the same sentiment about this squad that I've had. Are they amassing talent? Yes. Are they going to get better? Yeah, at some point, yeah. But again, just because you win for one season doesn't make all the other like 20 seasons that you were ass just gone. Just like forgotten.
Especially when
yeah,
my guy, anybody see my guy last night, Donnie, blew out the Pistons, carried the mail in this series largely. He can dunk, by the way. I know Jazz fans said that Donovan Mitchell can't dunk anymore. He can dunk. It's got to hurt Jazz fans just a lot a bit to not win the lottery and then watch Donovan Mitchell go to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Has to.
I mean, and listen, Rudy Gobert is what he is. Monty, it's Gobert. I know it's Gobert.
Monty, you don't know anything.
It's
Stupid.
Gonzaga, by the way.
Stupid. You're stupid. You get Spurs and Thunder in the West. In OKC with the MVP of flop. Scumbag.
It is what it is.
Can we be on the same page and call him a foul merchant now? Are we on the same page with that? Or
Shut up, Jake. Are we on the same page that the Knicks are the best team left in the NBA and they're going to win the whole damn thing?
Yeah. Dude, the Knicks are going to nick. We know that. They're know that.
Going to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think OKC is going to repeat. And I think it is really bad for the Jazz that they didn't get that top pick.
I'm not as confident in OKC against the Spurs as you are. I think that's not an amazing matchup for OKC. I'm not saying Wemby's going to drop 40 on him every game, but I think that OKC likes to play this slow, methodical game and lean on the whistle, and the Spurs like to get out and run and are athletic and physical, and that could be a problem, just depending on how the series goes. But we'll see. We'll see. For the record, FTR, I hope the Spurs win. I'm so sick and tired of seeing OKC constantly. It's so tired.
I hate the Oklahoma City Thunder. I hate the way they play basketball. I can't stand it. I cannot stand it. And
yeah,
it's
the whistle for Shea is just so out of control. Literally, it ruins the game.
Yeah, the NBA largely is unwatchable when OKC is playing. Ken Maynard, Jazz hasn't been relevant since Mailman and Stockton. Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think Donnie and Gobert had him close. Jazz don't know ball and players because Donovan is still playing in the post season. Yeah, I would agree. Ain't that the truth? Okay. If you saw the clip, AJ looked like he was found guilty of 50 to life when it was the Wizards.
Oh, he was pissed, dude. He was upset.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. UAF Jazz. Exactly.
UAF Jazz, yeah.
Jazz not winning the lottery is karma for tanking, jabronis. Well, can't say I disagree. The Knicks clearly figured something out with their offense and letting the big dude feed people. Fun to watch. I would love to see the Knicks win it. They won't.
Yeah, Knick fan's going to be relentless, though, if they do. You know, all the videos of Knick fan, you know, cursing and saying heinous things on the street after winning one game is just going to be out of control if we get a parade.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree. I mean,
like,
can you imagine? Can you imagine the Knicks winning an NBA championship?
It would be, dude, the city would legitimately like burn down. I'm telling you, it would be horrific if they did. It would be great, but it would be wild.
All right. And finally, are you guys building for the future? Very interesting article from Forbes the other day. You can't read it because everybody ain't able. It's behind a paywall. Suck it. Which I hate.
Yeah, same.
Paywalls suck. About the fact that 46% of Americans say they are not looking to the future. They are not thinking about building into the future. They are not thinking about generational wealth. They are not thinking about most things that don't involve surviving the day-to-day right now. And it's a really interesting question about perspective. I'm curious how many people are thinking about, well, hey, I'm 35 and I need to look at retirement. Okay, maybe not retirement. Okay, I'm 35 and I don't own a home yet. I don't know how many people are thinking about building forward. I think most people don't think about it. I think most people just go through life. You're not thinking about renting versus buying. I just think most people don't consider that stuff. And I'm genuinely curious to see how many people sitting here today watching the show are thinking about their futures. And the answer is, I don't think most people think about it. And I don't know how to think about anything other than building and making more money for the future. Like, I obsess over it, which is how I came to read this article in the first place. 46%, I know this is obvious. Almost half of the people polled, and it was 1,500 people, so not a small amount. 46% said they're not building to the future. Do we really think that half of all Americans don't think about the future? That seems like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think this answer would change depending on the times, dude. I think that, look, I think it's hard for a lot of people to, like, people don't have extra money to be contributing to retirement right now. People don't have like you know, your average American doesn't have that kind of money right now. They just don't. Stuff's too expensive. I mean, I think that's just like, I think 50% of those people or 46% of those people saying they're not thinking about the future is kind of, I would say, indicative of what the bigger picture looks like. I mean, if you think about, again, the generational divides and your generation forward, like your generation and older of course are thinking about the future because of the assets you have and the wealth that you have, and that you were able to accumulate. And I think millennials and down are not at that stage, right? I think that's, it's a shame. It is. I will keep saying it, and I'll probably say it the rest of my life, but it is a shame. I think that the fact, I can't remember what the average first time home buyers, but it's like pushing into the upper 40s now. I mean, that's a really rough stat, man, when you think about people's lives and how they're trying to get through it. So I just think and ask the same people that question again in 5 years and see where they're at, given how times change, if things get a little bit more manageable cost wise. But no, I think a lot of people just are trying to get by in the day to day. That's what I think. I think that is what I would guess a lot of people are doing.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see that I don't know, man. I think you can't sit here and believe that today is the only day that matters when it comes to planning. I'm a big believer in being in the now. I agree with that. You have to be omnipresent. But if you are not thinking about the future and especially if you have debt, if you're not thinking about how to pay off your debt without going into more debt, I'm not sure what you're looking at, right? I think you have to be looking at ways to build a future where you can have some measure of control over your life. And the only way to do that is to make money. And so I've talked about this on this show a ton. I think you have to be working for yourself, making as much money as possible. I don't believe that you can be a W-2 employee and thrive. And, as somebody that has multiple business lines, including e-commerce, and I think you have to be really pushing to make more money for yourself. There's just no way. If you don't own real estate, if you are in debt, if you do not have multiple streams of income, if you're relying on one paycheck, dude, I think you're living a very scary existence. Very scary existence. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know how you rely on that, right? Cryptic, I opened up a food truck and I'm starting to give private lessons for color guard. The only thing stopping yourself from achieving your dreams and making that money is the mindset. I think people are scared. I would agree with that. What kind of food truck do you have, sir? Are you on social with your food truck? I am almost 40 and my wife and I are on track to retire by 60. We've been investing since we started working. I like it. If we were teaching our kids financial literacy instead of basket weaving, we would be doing better as a people. We would.
But we're not.
Yeah. We do not teach kids how to even. If we were teaching kids in middle school and high school how to understand the interest rates on their credit cards, your life would be significantly better. It just would be. You have investors and consumers. Increasing net worth becomes addictive, especially liquid assets. I would agree. Totally agree. I'll send my menu in the chat. But you have over 5,000 people watching the show right now. You could be publicizing your food truck, but I'm just telling you, it's very interesting to see. And again, this is just my opinion. It's very interesting to see how people view their lives right now. Like, what lenses are you looking at? Because I'm somebody that firmly believes I have a conversation with my tax person today about strategy and a new investment property we picked up and one we're looking at. And you have to be talking to people, right? Like, you have to be, for me, you look at, if you follow me at all on social, we play a ton of golf. That's an income stream for me. That is an income stream for me. YouTube's an income stream for me. E-commerce is an income stream for me. Real estate's an income stream for me. Like, you have to have multiple lines of income that do not rely. My W-2 is an income stream for me. Right? And you have to have one thing, obviously, that builds others. But I just think people don't have vision for that.
I mean, I think that there are a lot of people who don't have the vision to even think about like how to go from W-2 to getting out of the W-2 world and just being fully self-employed and things like that. Yeah, I mean, I think that on just a baseline level, I think is a big separator in people, people who are thinking about that and are trying to do that and are understand the value of getting your time back in your day to be able to go out and build more and do different things. That absolutely is a separator of people. And I think that, I think we live in times that are discouraging, but also encouraging. Like right now, I would say is a discouraging time, which is how again, $90 for a tank of gas is a discouraging number. You think about just how expensive things are. Like it's not enjoyable for most people right now, but at the same time, it's like, you have to find a way to wade through that water. So, I think that, yeah, you have to enjoy as many days as you can, man. And, I think that can be hard sometimes for sure.
PGA Championship talk tomorrow. Well, dude that wears 2 gloves and has iron covers won a championship.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I wasn't thrilled with the PGA, I'll be honest. I wasn't I'm happy for Aaron Rye. It's a great win, life-changing win. Great, nothing against him, but just I don't know, man. I felt like it kind of the packed leaderboard storyline kind of lost its groove when the bigger names started to fall. And that was what was tough.
You also generate more power off the box than I expected. Me?
What do you mean? Bro, this is a family show. So I don't know what power off a box has to do with anything, but
What do you like? Are you seriously talking about me? Dude, I've always hit the ball a mile off the tee box. That's never been the issue. Hawaii in particular, I drove the ball much better in Hawaii than I have recently. So I hit a lot of 310, 320 drives. So I also changed my driver swing quite a bit. But, right now my number one seller is my potato and chorizo burrito for chicken and dumplings. Okay. Chicken and dumplings, always good. Passive income is key. Making money while you're sleeping. Truth. Very true. Hey, Mayor of Monty Town. Gas and groceries are by far the most discouraging for me. I have 3 teenagers and they eat a lot and they travel a lot. And it costs me $130 to fill up my truck. Absolutely ridiculous. The fact that gas was cheaper in Hawaii than it is in Washington is ridiculous.
Yep.
It's absurd. It is absurd to me how expensive gas is. It's just ridiculous. Driver, yes, I wasn't ready for it. Also, having your lady compliment you after every shot is something I wasn't used to. I always said that my wife is my camera person. So I wasn't used to it. I don't let my wife near the course. My wife arguably played better golf in Hawaii than I did. So, yeah, the driver swing's good right now. My fight will always be my short game's good. I putt very well. And right now I'm hitting the ball off the driver very well. My fight will always be irons.
Mm-hmm.
Some days are good. Some days are bad. It's brutal. $4.99 in Cave Creek. Well, $5 gas is outrageous. And it's $6 in some places in Washington. It's ridiculous, in my opinion, that we are paying the prices we are paying. And different show, but through no fault of our own.
Nope.
We are paying prices that we just don't need to be paying it. There's no reason for it. It's absurd to me.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. The Monty Show is always presented by our good friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business, 24/7, 365. And the best part is you never reach in your pocket to pay The Advocates. Go get clear, risk-free advice right now. In the car accident, all the bicycles are on the road. The Advocates remind you as the weather continues to get better, slow down, look around. You have a lot more people on scooters, kids in our neighborhoods, bicycles. And if the worst happens, get the best at theadvocates.com. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.